Oh, I'm
Welcome
sure.
to Zelda Speedruns 2. Today we have the Ocarina of Time Randomizer Standard Tournament Season 3 Winner Bracket Round 2 match between Xef199221 versus engineer124. Commentators today are Hannah Christ and Ela Gatua. Say hello.
Hello, welcome.
Hello, everybody. Glad to be back. Can't wait to see this exciting match. Xef certainly impressed us with his first round performance, and haven't had a chance to see Engineer play yet, but I'm sure he's going to turn in a good one for us today.
Absolutely. So we've got the 28th and 12th seed here, Engineer being the number 12 seed. But as you said, Xef first round match was spectacular and went right down to the wire. Really, really exciting. So I'm looking forward to seeing him play again.
Yeah, definitely don't look at that seed and think that Xef is the underdog in this match, because in the first round he went up against one of the favorites in the tournament, Juke, and his victory in that match was definitely no fluke. He earned that victory fair and square and made some really great plays, and if he's able to come today with the same level of execution and the same decision making that he showed off in that first round match, then we're definitely going to be in for a treat. So we'll see what this seed throws at us. So we got the Kokiri Emerald up there, and who knows what kinds of sufferings our runners are in for.
Let's see. Stone Star's never great, but it just means there's more medallions out there to be found.
Kind of makes going early Deku feel a little bit better, because
It does, yeah.
odds are
There's going to be something in it.
Yeah, and if it ends up being a stone, then you're one dungeon away from your Ocarina of Time song, and if it's a medallion, then you had to do it anyway, so it's pretty much a win-win.
Yeah, and less than 20 seconds to go here. Getting the countdown on. It's a lot of numbers in our runners' names today.
And in their file names, too.
Yeah! Engineer really is an engineer.
And he's a fan of pie.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we're underway.
Let's go. Well, they are two vastly different tunic colours, although I like the fact that Engineers has matched his with his hearts. That's some great coordination there.
Looks like Xef is going to be doing the old Kokiri sword chest, not going to meta,
No, and
hoping
Engineer's
that
not
for the
gonna
forest is barren.
And Mido's Heist possibly paying off right away there.
Wow, Dins and a bow.
And a bow
Starting
is
off
that as
quick.
well. Let's see if he bothers with the Kokiri sword chest, or if he's going to go... No, looks like he's going to go straight out into the field, so... He's not going to be hurt by that, as Xef just finds a recovery heart.
So something that we're going to be on the lookout for as we presumably start heading south through Hyrule Field is, will these runners opt to try and check for the hint in Lake Helia by the lab before going to the market? The timing for picking up this hint is really, really tight, and if your movement is even off slightly on the way there, you could find yourself into the moat. And being in the moat feels really, really bad, especially in a tournament match with a big audience. But if you do everything right, you're going to get rewarded with a hint. And sometimes that hint is going to be the thing that can change the game in your favor. So Engineer could opt to play it safe, and could opt to go for the hint. We'll probably find out what he chooses to do in the next 30 seconds.
I think in his first round match, he went for a Schrodinger's chain situation, where you manipulate the camera so that you're not looking at the bridge, and the bridge actually won't go back up, which obviously gives you a little more time to play with. But yeah, that timing to get all the way around Lake Hylia and then back up to the castle is really, really tight. Just doable, and I'm sure Engineer is more than capable of it. But we'll see if he goes for the hint.
Yeah, normally you do the Schrodinger's chain trick when you find a bomb bag in Kokiri Forest, because that will allow you to do the 3 checks in South Hyrule and then get all the way back up. But if you don't find a bomb bag, then generally you're going to end up taking the owl, which is what we see Engineer heading towards right now.
He's going straight to Lake Hylia. He's not going to check Gerudo Valley at all.
All right, he's definitely going for that hit, so hopefully his movement is clean here, because if he makes a movement mistake from here on out, he's not going to have any backup plan.
Engineer reads too quickly. I did not see that hit, hopefully.
That was spinning pot in Goron City is dead. Engineer with some really good movement there. He should be able to make it. He's going to talk to the owl here, and then he's going to talk to Navi. And that little optimization basically makes the owl's animation go without time of day running. And look at that, plenty of time. Really
Perfect.
great movement.
That was good.
Now we'll see if Xef is going to do the same thing. Uh-oh, little backwalk error there. If I were him, I would probably abandon ship and just go straight for the owl, but he's got to decide right now what to do.
I think he's taking your advice. It looks like he's going straight for the owl.
Yeah, so already you can see just a little bit of execution difference between the two. They've checked about the same amount of things, but Engineer has a little bit more information. Not a great hint on the lab, but you can see the differences that these top runners have. It's really slim.
It shows you how tight it is to make it to the owl as well. We heard the bridge going up there as Xef went over it, so just that small mistake in the backwalk, and it's not worth it to check that hint.
Engineer deciding not to go to the Temple of Time to read the 4 hints before getting the song at Hyrule Castle. So I'm wondering if he plans on going early adult after getting his song here, because if he was going to go the 3-child route, it would be more efficient to check the hints at Temple of Time right away.
And that was Bomb choosing 40 skulls, I think.
Yep, so 40 skulls are dead.
I'm going to try and take some notes on the hints so we can see. Keep track of what information our runners have here.
So we'll see if Xef opts to get the hints. He's heading over in that direction. Looks like 50 is dead too. Market foolish.
So that was Lon Lon Ranch and Gerudo Training Grounds Way of the Hero.
And I think Shoot the Sun was dead as well.
So
Market Foolish is a hint that always feels amazing to get because it rules out so many checks. Engineer didn't get that hint though, so I'm wondering if he goes early adult, whether he will opt to do child shooting game before checking the hints.
yeah, he may waste some time there by playing the challenge shooting game before he goes to the adult. If he decides to do so before reading those hints.
Yeah, I imagine the Engineer, had he has that information to skip the market, might change his opening route, but he's going to have to go blind for now.
And that was, 50 dead, just a bluepie on 50 today.
Oh, what song are we going to get? That's Requiem.
That's nice. If he did choose to do the 3-child route, you can warp out the back of Lon Lon Ranch with Requiem.
So now Engineer is going to go to Temple of Time, probably planning on going adult early, like I mentioned earlier. But when he sees this Lon Lon Way of the Hero hint, I wonder if he's going to change his mind.
That's a good point. It could cause him to stay child longer, knowing that there's something there worth going for.
So if you are new to watching Ocarina of Time randomizer races, Way of the Hero is a hint that our runners can get that is designed to point them in the right direction so that they can find items that are critical to their run quickly, because Hyrule is big and we don't want our races to be 5 hours long. So when you find a location that is Way of the Hero, our runners are going to be prioritizing going there because there is some sort of item or song that, according to the seed's logic, is required to actually finish the run. So in this seed so far, we've seen Lon Lon and Gerudo Training Grounds, and Lon Lon is usually required for the song, and that's something that is commonly picked up pretty early, and Engineer sees that hint now. And so one of the common openers for our runners is to do what is called the 3-song route, which is the Hyrule Castle song, the Lon Lon song, and Saria's.
Xef is doing just now as well. It looks like he's going for the 3-song route, so he's just picked up the Hyrule Castle song. Now he's going to Lon Lon, and then we go to Saria's song.
Looks like Engineer's heading early adult, so seeing that Lon Lon way the hero has not deterred him, he's going to stick with his game plan.
He's a man with a plan, and he's going to stick to it. And the
Butter knife.
Not our way the hero item, but it is nice to have. Makes your Deku Stick management slightly less stressful.
Alright, so Engineer checked the pedestal, so now we know what dungeons are required to finish our run here. Looks like we have Water Temple, and Forest, and Spirit, Dodongo's Cavern, and Jabu and Deku Tree. So the stones are Stone Fire, which is guaranteed 100% on every run, and Stone Shadow, which probably will show up anyway because it's Stone Shadow.
Well, it certainly did in Engineer's last race, so he might be having flashbacks. And it was Zelda's Lullaby at Lon Lon Ranch, so that is most likely our way of the hero item. Zelda's Lullaby needed for almost 99.9% of runs. But Xef will go and check this back silo as well. And he has a choice here, so he could reset and go to the Lost Woods to pick up the Saria song in the Sacred Forest Meadow, or he has got Requiem of Spirit, so he could go there first to pick up an additional song. It'll be interesting to see what he does.
Yeah, I think both of those plays are fine. Oh, there's a hookshot back there too. Another challenge that another route that he could choose is to go Gerudo Valley, because if you want to go there to Gerudo Valley, doing it after Lon Lon is probably the best time. However, I think after finding this hookshot, he's probably just going to go straight to the Deku Tree or pick up that song.
And it looks like he's going to pick up the song. And meanwhile, Engineer has picked up some explosives off the Man of the Roof in Kakariko Village. So we'll see if he can make use of those. I'm not sure how big that pack of bomb shoes was. If it was a big one, or if he's going to have to be careful with them. I like an early Spirit play as a child, especially if you get that song early.
Yeah, I don't think he can actually do anything in there, though, because he has no anything. But at least he'll get that song, and then he'll be able to go Deku.
And that is our Gerudo Training Grounds, where the hero, it's the second time we've seen that hint. If it appears a third time, that means that there's two things there.
Song of Storms, that's really nice. That's going to let him check the Storms Grotto in Kakiri Forest right before he checks the Lost Woods, so it's really efficient.
And Nocturne of Shadow in the windmill. Nocturne of Shadow is a really useful song to have. It makes moving around the overworld a lot easier. Get back to Kakariko Village quite quickly. You'll be here a couple of times. Is Xef possibly making a play to go to Deku here?
Yep, I think he's going to buy his equipment here, get his shield and some Deku sticks, and then head on in there. And we already have Zelda's Lullaby, so unfortunately the Zelda's Lullaby OOT Dream is dead, as it was in our Way of the Hero Lon Lon Ranch.
I think Engineer, after his round one match, would be hoping for not too many trolls from this seed. It was a marathon race in his round one match, 3 hours and 30 plus minutes, I think. So I think he's probably looking for not too many trolls to come out and hit him.
These runners are keeping us busy because they are checking all the early adult and early child checks at the same time. So we have a lot of action in the next 10 minutes or so as we wrap up these early checks. And then what's most likely to happen is these runners are going to retrace the other steps, and they're going to see all the things that the other person has checked already. With that, we have Ocarina of Time being the Sun Song, which means it's not likely to be all dungeons, although there's been lots of trolling in this tournament so far.
And it was a fairly hefty pack of chews that Engineer got there, so he picked up the 20 pack from the man on the roof. So he can be quite liberal with his explosives as he's exploring these adult checks.
Oftentimes when you get a pack of explosives that big, a natural play after clearing out Kakariko Village is to go into Dodongo's Cavern. And it is a medallion, so it might be worth it. Especially if he can pick up strength along the way. He's going to be able to full clear without any difficulty. It is possible to clear it with just bomb chews, but killing King Dodongo with bomb chews only and no strength is a little bit challenging. And if you mess it up, it can be wasting a lot of time, and it's just very stressful. So we'll see if he chooses to take that risk later on.
To kill King Dodongo with bomb chews requires to do a ground jump, is that right?
Yeah, you have to do a ground jump off the bomb flower, and there is a long shot now in Deku Tree, so Xef has a long shot.
You'll be feeling pleased with that.
Certainly makes the possibility of a trolley water temple much less likely, because now all they need are 2 scales or iron boots, and most likely they're going to be able to get through water.
Yes.
Sometimes water temple can be really trolly getting all the items that you need to get in there and get it done.
Yeah, the long shot can be one of the most elusive items in a seed, but as soon as he finds the means of getting in there, he can clean that up. Let's see if the Deku Tree holds anything else for us. The long shot was the only thing. Oh, we did get the Zora tunic as well, so it seems, yeah, Deku Tree's definitely preparing us for the water temple.
And Water Temple is actually the Forest Medallion, and the Forest Medallion is particularly important because 2 songs are gated by the Forest Medallion. The Prelude of Light check in the Temple of Time, and then also Burning Cack, which is actually locked behind the Water, Fire, and Forest Medallions together. So if he's able to finish Water early, he's going to get rewarded with some songs that may or may not be necessary later on in the run.
Songs are always useful to have.
Getting that Kokiri sword is really nice for Xef. He's able to take out all those Skulltulas on the way down really quickly and doesn't need to burn a lot of Deku sticks.
Yeah, he's not worried about his stick count at all. And he'll have a decent skull count after the Deku Tree here.
So it looks like Engineer's following my advice and is going to go right into Dodongo's Cavern. Something he may choose to do is clear the bottom 5 checks in Dodongo's Cavern and then save Scum to get all of his bomb chews back that he's used. Although with 20, it's not as important as it would be normally. Also, Xef getting a really quick B1 skip there in the Deku Tree, so going to be heading over to Goma really quickly.
And that is the shooting the sun is just a purple rupee, so we won't be seeing that today.
No, there goes the bomb shoe.
He maybe needs to be slightly more careful than that with him. I know he's got a few, but I wouldn't be burning them quite so
Engineer
easily.
he's trying to cut corners because he doesn't want to spend his Deku Nuts. You can just use a Deku Nut to explode the bomb shoe for free, but if your timing is good, you can use your Master Sword to do it and save the nuts for later. But unfortunately, he messed up the timing and ended up burning a bomb shoe.
Better that time though.
Nice
that was
one cycle Goma
yeah,
there.
really nice Goma fight on Xef's screen. And Engineer, I think, picked up the Goron tunic, so we're not going to have any troll away the hero hints pointing us towards tunic requirements, which is nice.
Yeah, most likely. It's still out of logic because he does not have a bomb bag yet. Oh, the light arrows.
So we'll definitely be needing those to finish.
So Xef picking up his spirit medallion there. So haven't seen anything particularly crazy from Xef. He's probably going through the most standard opener that is popular right now. So if you're looking to steal an opener, trying to get into doing some Ocarina of Time randomizer speedruns, copy Xef, and your first 30 minutes are pretty much guaranteed to be optimal.
And that is the repeat of the long ranch, Way the Hero. And like you said, getting that Song of Storms meaning that he can check the Storms Grotto here as he heads into Lost Woods.
Still waiting to see what some of the other Way the Hero hints end up being. We had Lon Lon and we have Gerudo Training Grounds, but we've seen a bunch of required items in other places as well. I wouldn't be too surprised to see a Deku Tree Way the Hero for that long shot, but if the seed is being really mean, it might say Dodongo's Cavern for those light arrows and just kind of waste everybody's time with that hint. So got a bunch of hints coming up in Sacred Forest Meadow. We'll see if they provide us any direction.
So where would you go if you were Xef once you've picked up the song?
Oh my!
Is that a hammer?
That was a hammer.
My goodness.
All right. So if I'm Xef, I'm going to pick up the rest of these hints here and then head right on back to go adult. You pretty much are obligated to clear out the things in Kakariko and potentially the graveyard, especially when you get Nocturne. Oh, and Strength too. Goodness gracious.
So Engineer does find his strength in Dodongo's Cavern, which does mean that he can now go right down to the bottom and clean up and kill King Dodongo with that strength.
It's so convenient.
Really convenient. No grind ups necessary.
So this is looking kind of like a jet seed, but really quick to finish my thought from earlier. If I'm Xef, I've done all the child stuff. I've got a lot of good items here with my long shot especially. I'm going to do Kakariko, and when he gets there, he's going to get those bomb shoes. So I actually imagine that he'll probably do the same thing that Engineer has done now and go into DC, but once Xef goes adult, based on the things that he's likely to find, he may not come back child for a long time because he's going to have a lot of progression available to him.
Yeah, I agree. I think going adult after making these final few checks on Lost Woods is a good idea. And he was getting annoyed there at the repeated him in the Sacred Forest Meadow about the big Poe prize, and we did see that I think the big Goron crafts a piece of heart today, so no
like
trolley checks so far.
It looks like he got Prelude of Light on Saria's song, I think. So that's really convenient because as soon as he does this check, he's just going to zip right off to being adult.
Was that our third Lon Lon ranch?
That is a third Lon Lon ranch, so that's a double for the ZL and the hookshot.
That's a pity in a way, because it does mean that they, in effect, only have 3 Way the Hero hints, as opposed to the 4 that you'd maybe be hoping for. Especially with Lon Lon Ranch having so few checks within it.
Well, I've got a spoiler. I have a feeling that Dodongo's Cavern is going to show up as one of the other Way of the hints, the Way of the Hero hints, based on what we've seen so far there.
I think you might be right. So the hints maybe not actually providing that much information beyond what they would already be covering.
This seed has been very kind. All of the logical and obvious plays have provided huge dividends, and now Xef is going to have his next probably half hour to 45 minutes kind of booked, because he's going to go to Cat, get those bomb shoes, go to Dodongo's, get his hammer and his strength, and then Forest Temple will be open as a next logical play. He'll have everything he needs to do there, and probably he'll be able to do Fire Temple as well. Although it is a stone, so he might only choose to dip there or maybe ignore it entirely. We'll see.
I think I would maybe complete the dungeons that I knew I was working towards. I'd maybe leave fire tempo until I started getting really stuck and just be aware that it was there in the background.
Yeah, it's possible that hammer is not actually for anything in Fire Temple, and in fact is just to find maybe like a bomb bag in a grotto somewhere lying around the map, or for some fairy somewhere.
Miguela makes a good point in chat, though, that Forest Temple would technically be out of logic without Minuet or Saria's song.
Yes, that is correct, but
that's not
when you know it's required, yeah, it's not going to stop them. They know they need to do it, and anything that they can do to get outside the logic of the seed to do everything faster is going to be something that they want to take advantage of.
Absolutely. It'll be interesting to see how much progress and how much advantage Xef can make with this hook shot, nay long shot, that Engineer is not going to find as an adult. So Engineer won't pick up any sort of hook shot until he goes back child.
Something else that Xef is going to be able to take advantage of is potentially getting a song out of the grave there. And so if that ends up being Saria's or Minuet, then that would put the Forest Temple back into logic.
Engineer making his way through the Goron maze here with that hammer.
And a wallet.
More money.
More problems.
That's our first bosso. Nothing particularly special in it, just a red potion, but nice to have if Skulltulas are required and we're gonna be planting some bugs.
So without a hook shot, I would imagine the Engineer is going to wrap up this adult route pretty soon. He might choose to go and get the song off of the Minuet of Forest before he goes back to child, but without a hook shot and without ZL, there's really not much more he can do as adult.
Yeah, so that early child 3-song route really paid off for Xef in this seed. Engineer, I'm sure, will, like you said, be hot on his heels shortly.
Yeah, this is the reason why the 3-song opener is so popular. Is you're just likely to get a bunch of good warp songs and ZL early, and then it allows you to extend your adult one as long as you need, and hopefully get a lot of progression done. Speaking of foolish things, that is our last foolish hint, Zora's domain. So sorry for everybody who was hoping for Ruto's letter on King Zora. That dream is now dead.
Just killing dreams left, right, and centre. Not much on Ocarina time, nothing on Bigoron. 30 and 40 are dead. Throw us a bone seed, give us something.
Well, Engineer is going to check the crater here. This is a little bit of a gamble because he's going to need to come back here for the song, maybe for the fairies, and a lot of the checks here are locked behind ZL, which he does not have. So he's going to see what's in the wall, and he's going to check the grotto, but he might still have to come back later, so it might be costing him a bit of time.
That was a scale in the graveyard underneath the crate on the ledge there, and Xef can reach that with his long shot, so he may decide to pick that up.
Yeah, he might have also just forgotten, because it's so unusual to have the long shot this early that I've had this happen where it just completely slips my mind that I can long shot my way up there, especially the first time you check what's under the box.
And that's the skull mask. The Decubalas have the hover boots, which is interesting. Now Shadow is a stone, so we're hoping that we won't need to get into Shadow. Logically, there is one part of Forest Temple that you can clear the
Ooh.
others if there's a key shortage.
So
was that?
in the composer's grave chest, there's a strength upgrade. So that actually might work nicely for engineer because he's gonna go child and get ZL, and then he has Nocturne. So before he goes adult again, he will probably clear the composer's grave as child and do flame storage to pick up that strength upgrade for free.
Definitely nice. We are going to need those silver gauntlets to get into spirit. And that was the hint at the top of the crater, wasn't it?
Yep, that's something that a lot of people skip, to be honest. So we'll see if Xef chooses to be as thorough.
Yeah.
Certainly, there's been an amazing amount of information this seed, just not on the Way of the Heroes, as Hyrule Castle Way of the Heroes shows up.
Yeah, that's not a piece of information that Xef will immediately come across. We'll see. I'm guessing that he's on his way to Dodongo's Cavern, so we'll see after he's cleared Dodongo's Cavern if he does a similar thing and checks out the crater before he leaves this area, and if he makes the effort to go right the way to the top to check that hint, because as you say, that is a useful piece of information to have.
So something that's going to make our runners really, really nervous is we had Din's Fire in Mido's house, and now we have Hover Boots on Skull Mask, which is a Sphere 1 check, so it's pretty early in the logic. And we had Nocturne in the Song of Storms song. All we need is magic, and that Stone Shadow. Uh-oh, there's a Ruta's Letter. A wild Ruta's Letter appears. In the Lost Woods.
Yeah, I definitely think Engineer might be getting nervous after his first race with that Stone Shadow starter pack.
Well, we're almost running out of items that we need already. We're 30 minutes in, and we don't have that much that's unaccounted for. We've got Mirror Shield and Magic and Boomerang and some Water Temple access.
I don't
And
know,
beyond that, there's not that much.
Engineer found, well, his second, but the third strength upgrade that we know about from the business scrub in the Lost Woods.
Wow. So maybe that Composer's Grave strength is not going to matter that much after all.
Not so important.
That's a check that Xef is almost definitely going to do no matter what, so he's going to run across that for sure.
Yeah, I agree. I think so. We don't have an awful lot that we're still looking for. What's going to be our one item that we're not going to find? Maybe the boomerang. The boomerangs can always be quite tricky.
So right now we're still pretty much completely out of logic with most of our checks because everything ended up being in Dodongo's Cavern, and all of that is locked behind a bomb bag, which we have yet to find. And I'm wondering if that ends up being the case, if that Composer's Grave strength could end up being the logical strength to give us access to Dodongo's Cavern to find all of the other items that we have so far. And if that is the case, then that means that magic is somewhere out there early.
For that Din's Fire, because the Din's Fire is obviously going to give you the means to light the torches.
Yeah, Engineer struggling to get up on the top of the Sacred Forest Meadow there. Here's a setup for it, but Engineer wasn't able to take advantage of it. Normally you can use bombs to get up there really easily, but there is a way to do it with no bombs. And Xef finding Minuet Forest in the crater, super efficient, and that's going to save him the trek through the Lost Woods in order to pick up the Saria song on Minuet. So we now have our logical forest access there, and he's going to see that Hover Boots hint too, and the fear is real.
I hope we find the bomb bag soon, because mind-bending logic always makes me dizzy. If we stay out of logic for much longer.
Well, the real question is it magic or is it a bomb bag? One of the two is out there early somewhere, and we don't know which one it is, and they're going to need magic. So if it's magic, and they check in the early checks to find it, it could be a really good play.
Engineer has indeed gone back child, and it looks like he's not got Zelda's lullaby yet, has he? No, so he can't catch his grave just quite yet.
He's gonna pay Dompe a visit there.
And Xef going out to the desert here. He's gonna check this great fairy.
So Engineer's probably going to start preparing to get that skull mask, and I hope that he puts off the rest of the steps until after getting Saria's song, because he will get his prelude, and that will make doing the rest of the turn-ins really quick. It's always very generous of a seed to give you both Nocturne and Prelude early when they decide to sneak something on the skull mask.
Prelude, where did we find Prelude again?
That was on Saria's song, I believe.
So Xef choosing to go back child here without clearing Dodongo's cavern, which I'm surprised at. I wonder if he is now worried about those hover boots.
Yeah, I think that is almost exactly correct. Also, he saw the hint about the Composer's Grave strength, and so he's probably going to rush down there and do that too on the way to turn in his letter for the hovers.
Yes, he's obviously not aware that there's the strength sitting in Dodongo's cavern, just out of logic there. So yeah, his thinking, if he can pick up this strength, then he can go to Dodongo's cavern once and finish it in a runner.
It actually makes a lot of sense, because coming to Kakariko is pretty much required anyway to do Skull Mask, so why not just pick up your strength here, and then you can clear Dodongo's cavern 100% of the time as soon as you go back adult.
Yeah, and he does have his Nocturne and his Prelude, so he'll be able to zip across. Finding his strength there. Engineer picking up these songs that Xef picked up earlier.
What song did we end up getting in the Composer's Grave? I missed that one.
As did I. Serenade of Water, it looks like, possibly.
Oh, that's always a nice one, especially with water being a medallion. Engineer going Child Spirit. Interesting. Trying to follow that Requiem Wave hero that he saw in Hyrule Castle.
This is armed only with sticks.
Oh no, no Deku Nuts. Oh no, this is my nightmare.
And they're flaming. That's
one
fun.
more. No, get it. Get it. No!
No! Oh, he's being a tricky bat.
I actually have nightmares about this room and trying to do it without Deku Nuts.
There we go. Engineer made it look easy. Maybe.
Well, as long as you're through it, you feel a lot better, but
yes.
It still was a little bit slow.
And I think that's Xef up to 10 gold skulls now. I saw that flash across the screen.
Yeah, and now Xef might actually choose to do Forest Temple before Dodongos because he has everything he needs. Pretty much any way you go is good.
Yeah, he's a lot of choices. He's got a lot available to him. It's a nice position to be in, I think.
So we saw Engineer pick up a small key there, so if there's a second small key in the chest coming up, did he miss the jump there? Yeah, he did. Unfortunate. If there's a second small key on this child side, then it's likely that adult side doesn't have any, and that would explain the Requiem Way of the Hero.
Yeah.
Although it could just be magic not available for crossing the desert with the lens.
And what he was doing there that he missed the first time, you can correct me if I'm wrong, was he was trying to grab the ledge as he killed the enemy in the room and then let go so that he missed the dying animation and the fire disappearing from in front of the door. So just a small time save there.
Yep, that's exactly right. There's a specific spot on that wall that you can line up with, so that if you fall parallel to the line, you basically are guaranteed to trick the other guy into going into the fire. But his angle was off just slightly, and so he ended up having to redo the room.
And another wallet
Another
from
wallet.
frogs. Those frogs are rich.
Especially if you start playing the other songs, then
Yeah.
they give you their life savings.
Is that our second key on Child Spirit there? Ooh,
Bomb bag.
bomb bag. That is interesting.
So that was not in logic though, because we have no slingshot or boomerang. So we're still not in. Ooh, bottom of the well wave here. That's the last one.
We do have Song of Storm, so it won't be too difficult to get into the well.
And Xef can full clear it with these bomb chews, so I can pretty much guarantee that Xef will be making a trip there before going back adult. And we're not missing that many items for being so early. We still have Gerudo Training Grounds and Bottom of the Well, Way of the Hero completely unaccounted for. So, kind of feels like this is a jet seed. I'm just getting that impression.
So far, yeah, it does look like certainly a lot that we can do, and a lot that not so much that we need to pick up still. So, but we'll see.
So-
There could always be thrown some sort of curveball. It would be the first
Certainly
time.
plenty of time for that.
Yeah.
Looks like Xef is going to go bottom of the well now. I don't know if he actually went all the way back to the market to pick up the Keaton mask. It looks like he's got the letter in his inventory, so he hasn't gone back. So maybe a missed opportunity there to do part of the trading quest on the way to bottom of the well again. But not the biggest deals. In fact, we don't even know if hover boots is required to finish the seed yet because Stone Shadow. So maybe a smart play.
It would have been a nice optimization to incorporate it into this visit to Kakariko Village, though. And it does feel that he came back child for that trading quest after seeing the hint for the hovers, so I think maybe he's just forgotten about it, but we'll see if it shouldn't take him too long to do later on.
This is something that came up in his first round race against Juke, where there was a mirror shield for Stone Spirit hidden away, and Juke decided not to get it because normally you don't need mirror shield to finish a seed with Stone Spirit. but there ended up being a required item locked behind the mirror shield, and Xef picked it up and Juke didn't, and it ended up saving him a lot of time. So this time Xef opting to be a little bit more greedy and not prioritizing that potentially required but not necessarily required item.
Yeah, we'll see how it plays out for him this time.
Uh-oh, we got the chickens.
"43-minute chickens, that seems like a reasonable time to go wrangling some chickens at 43 minutes.
It's not a bad idea because we've seen all three of the strength locations, and it seems reasonably likely that magic for Din's Fire is somewhere early in the seed. And of all the Sphere Zero checks that are left, we've got some in Gerudo Valley and Child Fishing, but chickens is also one of them, so it's a good place to look.
So yeah, engineer going and doing some more child clear up. Gonna go into Deku here. He will be pleased to find his first hook shot.
That is true. Yeah, he has not opted to go to that Way of the Hero Lon Ranch, and that's we're getting pretty deep into the seed. It is unusual for someone not to visit there in the first hour.
Especially when we know one of the Way of the Hero items is Zelda's Lullaby. It would have made it would have meant that he wouldn't need to revisit any areas to check fairies and the Composer's Grave and so on. And it is so often the song at Lon Ranch that is the Way of the Hero item.
Xef committing capital murder after Andrew's reward was not up to his standards, but going straight into the bottom of the well is a good backup plan.
So yeah, we'll have to see what the well holds for us. It is the Way of the Hero location, so there is going to be something good. We've already found both our wallets and both our tunics.
Yeah, there's certainly not many troll items left that it could be. I think there's some scales available, but I have a feeling that both of our runners would welcome some scales because Water Temple is out there waiting to be cleared, and they already have a long shot.
Yep, and they know where that second scale is. It's sitting under the crate in the graveyard.
And that's got to be a mistake by Xef not picking it up, because he had the means to do it, and he just walked right by it.
I wonder if he finds one here, if it will remind him that that is indeed what he saw.
Uh-oh. That was not a bomb chew blow up there. There we go.
Second try.
I don't actually know what that trick is called.
A bomb drop? Like
sure, that sounds much more reasonable than what I called it.
Chew drop? Mic drop? I don't know.
I'm a fan of the mic drop, but then we'd have to call our bomb chews Mike.
I mean, we've already got Greg and Steve. Why not add a mic as well?
That's canon.
Salty, you're ruining it with your straightforward trick names.
Well, nothing in bottom of the well yet. But Xef's certainly not going to give up. He'll be most likely full clearing here before he leaves, regardless of what he finds.
Engineer just finishes off Deku here. So he does not have his Kikiri sword, so he's going to use his bombs to get these golden skulltulas and collect their reward.
Having the bombs here is pretty nice because it's going to allow him to do a ground jump to avoid having to do the lining up of the first-person view for the B1 skip. So, nice little luxury there.
Ironically, I can't do the ground jump with the bomb, but can do a basement 1 skip. It's about the only trick I can do in this.
There's certainly not as many free setups for it as child as there are as adult. It's pretty free with adult, especially if you can line up yourself against a wall.
It's just making me feel worse about the fact that I still can't do it.
Oh, I thought...
so many videos, and I'm like, nope, can't do this.
The hard one for me is doing it in Ice Cavern. I had to spend time practicing that recently, and I think I finally figured out what I was doing wrong, but normally if I line myself up against a wall, I can get it pretty much every time.
Maybe I have to go back and try again.
Alright, well it looks like our dead hand has been reduced to a dead hand.
Deader
And
hand.
does he have anything good? No.
The key. Oh, did Steve let us down? Nothing in Steve today. And again, a really clean Goma fight on engineer side. And neither of our gunners having have to deal with the spider eggs today.
Xef with another nice mic drop, and ooh, the iron
Iron
boots, that
boot.
could be it.
So not quite the scale, but certainly a way into water. And that gives Xef so much choice about where to go and what to do when he goes back adult.
Yeah, he's gonna have forest and water available to be logically cleared. And we know that Dodongo's is certainly easy to do with the bomb shoes that he has left. And clearing Dodongo's cavern will open up another set of dungeons for him, giving him that strength. We'll need the mirror shield for spirit, and he does not have Ruto's letter or the boomerang for Jabu, but that's it.
Ruto's letter wasn't anywhere too difficult though.
That is correct, yeah. Going through the Lost Woods, he's likely to check there.
So yeah, Xef looking like he's in a really good position here, despite losing his shield to that flame bat.
So there's a nice little optimization that Xef saw here. I believe that he counted his keys and he'd only had 2, and there was 1 check left in bottom of the well, but he knows that there are 3 small keys total, and he only had 2. There's 1 check left, so the last key has to be there, and he doesn't want it, so he doesn't waste time getting it. Looks like he's gonna get the Keaton mask here and potentially double check the Hyrule Castle fairy, because Hyrule Castle was Way the Hero, so it's possible that Requiem Way the Hero is just a bait, and that there's actually a required item on the fairy. Engineer seeing 2 more Lon Way the Hero hints there, so now feeling even worse about not having been there, knowing that it's not just a song, there's something else too.
I imagine he'll go there soon.
Oh, he'll go there, but he won't feel good about it.
No. Yeah, it's a real drawback for having Zelda's Lullaby with the ground he's covered all so far. He's going to have to go back. And although he may opt to leave, or he'll probably go to the composer grade for the song, but he may opt to leave the strength now that he already has the 2.
Alright, looks like Hyrule Castle is confirmed Way the Hero for Requiem. Maybe for that bomb bag that we found in Child Spirit on Engineer's side. But it looks like Xef is going to go adult and get on with his 3 dungeons of progression that he has available to him.
Question is, which one will he do first?
Pretty much can't go wrong. I'd probably do Forest though, just because I have the song.
Yeah, and you get that extra song from the forest. Oh no, what we get from the light and dying from the forest. but he's heading to Kakariko Village, so
This could be DC. He might also get that that scale, although it's not as important now. Looks like he's opting just to go straight for Dodongos.
I think he's just forgotten that he can get it.
Yep, I think you're right too.
Engineer picking up his prelude.
So we've reached the point in the run where a lot of these runners are going to be starting to cover ground that the other has cleared already. So gives us a little bit of downtime to kind of relax a little bit and have a nice lull in the action. If any of you guys in the chat are watching your first Ocarina of Time randomizer race and you have any questions about anything that we've talked about or just anything you want to know about the seed or the race or these runners, feel free to ask us. We're here to introduce you to the wonderful world of randomizer racing and be your guides here, so don't be shy.
Our trackers today, as we get a shout out, the men and women behind the scenes actually doing the hard work are Perpetual and Curry Chicken. I think they had some issues with the technology at the beginning of the race, but they have caught up and are doing a huge amount of work in the background, making sure that we know what our runners have, which is hugely appreciated.
Looks like Engineer is going to finally make his way over to Lon Lon Ranch to get his ZL and his long shot now. Will be interesting to see where he decides to go next. I don't know if he got that bottom of the well way the hero hint yet. I forget where that was. So he may choose to go back adult knowing that Forest is clearable right away.
I don't believe he has seen it. I can't remember where it was, but I don't think he has seen it.
I was in the river grotto, so yeah. That could be really unfortunate for him, especially if some progression ends up being locked behind the Forest Medallion songs, because you've got to imagine that Xef will be going to water as part of the progression that he's doing in adult, and he'll be picking up that song sooner rather than later, and if it's important, then Xef could be getting a bigger lead.
Yeah, I think Xef's playing really well so far. His writing choices have been really clever. It would be that longer early stint as a child really paid off for him. And as you said, Engineer's going to feel really bad when he learns this song.
I get the feeling that Engineer came into this race with a plan about what he wanted to do, and then when he saw those hints in Temple of Time for Lon Lon Way the Hero, he decided that he was not going to value the information available to him, and instead he was just going to stick to the route that he planned. And it's always easy to say in retrospect what was the right play, but as we've seen from Xef's route, getting that early ZL and getting that early hook shot really, really made his routing very efficient, and he's picked up, say, a medium-sized lead just based on that.
Yeah, I do think that's the difference. As you said, Engineer came into this knowing how he was going to start his race, and he stuck to that. And whereas I think Xef has adapted more as the hints have come in, he's gone to those Way the Hero locations early, and that has paid off for him. But Engineer is an incredibly skilled player, and Xef is here doing a dungeon which the Engineer's already completed, so there's still plenty of time for stuff to change.
Anytime there's still one progression item floating around there without knowing where it is, it can still be anyone's race.
Yeah.
I recently had a race in the Challenge Cup tournament where I made it even all the way to Ganon, and got my Ganondorf hint, and I had 1 strength in my inventory, and Ganondorf helpfully told me that the light arrows were outside his castle, which was really wonderful. And so turns out there was another hour left in that run, so no early lead is safe in randomizer.
Absolutely not. Everything can change at the drop of a hat. At the drop of a chew, I should say.
The drop of a mic.
That is what that trick is now called, mic drop.
Let it be known.
We have spoken.
All right, so engineer going into the composer grave here. I'm going to pick up his serenade here, and then most likely flame storage to get his 3rd strength. So we might be seeing an early outside Ganon's castle check. It's not going to have light arrows this time, but it certainly could have something else.
It could have something. We do still have our Gerudo training grounds with the hero. We weren't sure. We don't know what was there. As our sort of outstanding way the hero location, which you've not paid a visit to yet.
Yeah, but outside of Gerudo training grounds, we still have a few items left that the runners are going to need. The boomerang and the magic for starters. And we only have 1 way the hero hint left. So there's still going to be some searching to be done later on to hopefully track down those last items. So still a lot of potential for divergence and for an item to be in a really silly place.
Like Shadow.
Yeah, although I get the feeling that Din's fire in Mido's house might have been pointing to the strength in the composer's grave rather than to Shadow Temple. But it's hard to say.
Although we are still missing the magic to logically be able to use it.
Yeah, and I get the feeling that the magic might be pretty early. Not completely sure, but it just... Sometimes when you're running, you kind of get the intuitions, like you can almost see into the mind of the seed and figure out the order that things are supposed to happen, and then use that information to prioritize certain checks over others, and that's the feeling I'm getting. It's a good thing I'm not running this seed, though, because I can say whatever I want, and it doesn't matter. It's up to them to find it.
Exactly.
So Xef finishing up the Dongo's Cavern there. He'll be going to Forest, which is the next logical dungeon that he's got to get done with.
Riley, I don't believe Engineer has seen the bottom of the well hint. We think the bottom of the well hint was up Zora's River in the grotto there. And Engineer hasn't made his way to the river yet, so he's skipping out on the well. What's cooler, Stone Shadow or Stone Fire? Stone Shadow.
Stone Deep Fire. Especially Stone Deep Fire key locked behind Volvagia.
Oof. And again, Miguel coming in with the correct answer. We'll find out soon.
Alright, so Engineer knows how to use his long shot, and he's going to pick up that scale. But the question on everybody's mind now is, now what?
So we've already had the Dungus Cavern. He's checked out the crater. Where's he going to go? Can he do fire here with his hammer?
Well, I think if he starts heading in that direction, he's going to get the minuet of Forest in the crater, and then probably immediately join Xef in the Forest Temple. Looks like he's going to turn into skulls, but I mentioned this earlier about how Engineer went to the crater without the hookshot, and how that might end up being inefficient. And we see it playing out here as Xef was able to do everything, or at least most of the things in the crater in one trip, and was able to get his minuet. But now Engineer is going to have to go back there, and it's putting him a little bit behind because he had to go through the Lost Woods to Forest Temple to pick up the song without the Warp Song.
And both runners are actually looking pretty equal on their item trackers, apart from the fact that Xef is missing the bomb bag, although he's still not too short on explosive. He's got 8 bomb chews left. He may start thinking about trying to conserve them and save some when it needs be, just so he's not completely out of firepower.
The best advantage that Engineer has going for him right now is that Rudo's letter. Because Xef had the warp song to Forest Temple, he may decide to put off doing those grottos in the Lost Woods for a little while.
That's a good point. If he can just jump from dungeon to dungeon, he may ignore the areas in between, which would mean that he'd miss out on that letter.
Yeah, and after finishing Forest, he does have that Serenade to go straight to Water Temple, which for him is totally clearable. So, actually, it's not necessarily totally clearable. He does not have the Song of Time, but it's possible that the boss key could be on River Chest or something like that and prevent him from clearing it. But you have to imagine that he's still going to go there and check. So if he ends up prioritizing that route, he might opt not to check the Lost Woods and just go straight to water. And if he does that, then it's hard to say exactly when he comes back to clear up those checks.
And yeah, Engineer, as we're seeing, having to retrace his steps here and fill in the gaps in those places where he didn't have the hook shot in Zelda's Lullaby before.
So Engineer, did he pick up the song already?
He has, yes, he has. He picked it up before going and checking out that ferry.
Okay, looks like he's gonna get the ferry on the summit, and then from there, I'm sure he'll be heading straight to Forest.
Not much in Forest.
Oh!
Was that magic on
That
Engineer's
was
screen?
magic. That was magic.
Now let's see.
A little bit of vanilla there.
It is. Now we are in logic for that magic, are we? No, not quite, because he wouldn't be able to bomb the wall.
No, we're still missing something. I'm trying to figure out what we could be missing. Certainly a bomb bag somewhere early would fix a lot of this. Not sure what else would fix it.
Where did we find the bombs?
So the bombs were in Child's Spirit, but we do not have a slingshot or a boomerang. So actually, a slingshot being early would fix all of this, for sure.
I was trying to think if we'd found them earlier in Dodongo's Cavern, and but we had not, so...
Yeah, so my guess is that there's probably a slingshot somewhere in an obnoxious place in Sphere Zero, maybe in like Gerudo Valley or something like that.
Yeah.
Because that would make everything make sense. You have your logical bomb bag in Spirit, and then you can do Dodongo's Cavern to get your hammer, and then get the strength in Dodongo's Cavern. Once you have the hammer, you can get your magic, the top of the summit, and everything works out. Unfortunately, there will be no boomerang on the chickens.
Nope, not this time.
Xef did it already and only got a loopy, and then gave Andrew a few slashes for her trouble.
No one has been to Adam's Spirit yet. So Xef's already found the boss key here in the Forest Temple. Little else apart from that.
Well, looks like we're gonna be in the Forest Temple for the next few minutes, but if anybody has any theories about where our remaining items are, it looks like we are missing the boomerang. Are we missing anything else other than the boomerang? Mirror shield.
Mirror shield.
So it's mirror shield and boomerang, and we have Gerudo Training Grounds, Way of the Hero. So it could be as simple as that, or there could be one last item that forces our runners to run around the entirety of Hyrule trying to track it down. So even though Xef is a little bit ahead right now, nothing's solved for sure.
Yeah, and again, even though Xef is a little bit ahead of here in the Forest Temple, like you said, he did not find Rusha's letter in the Lost Woods, and we'll have to wait and see once he's finished the temple if he's going to decide to go and make his way back through the woods, or if he's just going to go straight to the Water Temple because he knows he can finish that up next. So it'll be interesting to see what he decides to do. And then if he doesn't clear the Lost Woods, that could give Engineer the chance to gain some ground back.
I kind of imagine that we might be having Song of Time on the Force Medallion here. And if that's the case, then that's going to logically open up a lot of GTG to our runners. And we have to keep in mind, Water Temple is foolish, so we're not going to be finding any progression items there. It's really just that Force Medallion to unlock some more songs.
Yeah, and as long as the Song of Time's not needed to find the boss key, then it could, as you say, very well be on that Forest Medallion. It may just be that Xef has all the luck and is just gonna attract these jet seeds all tournament.
So Xef is showing us a reasonably new strat for dealing with these Poes. You basically take your bow and you shoot them into the corner, and then you can jump slash and crouch stab them. As I say that, commentator's curse, he missed his cycle there, but if you set it up right, you can jump slash them and crouch stab them without them disappearing, and you can kill them really fast. It's a lot faster than the old way of letting them hit your shield, and then Deku Nut, jump stab, Deku Nut, jump slash. So something that's become more popular in the last month or two as everybody continues to optimize their strategies and up their game even further.
So our strengths, one was in Dodongo's Cavern, one was being sold by a business club in the Lost Woods, and the third was in the Composer Grave. So Xef has not found his third strength from the Lost Woods Deku Scrub. Yeah, Lost Woods is quietly got quite a lot in it. It's not shouting about it, but definitely got some useful items in there.
One other thing to point out is that Engineer still has not done Bottom of the Well, and we know that the Iron Boots are there, but there's an opportunity here for Engineer to make up a little bit of time, because if that other scale happens to be somewhere along the path of progression, maybe later on in Forest Temple or something like that, Engineer might be able to Galaxy Brain his way around Bottom of the Well, and he potentially may never get that hint about the last way of the hero and be able to skip it. And if that is the case, he's going to pick up a few minutes. Still don't know where that other scale is, but there's still a lot of progression left to be cleared, so still some chances for him to make up some time.
Xef picked up another pack of bomb shoes there, so that'll refresh his explosive supply a little.
Yeah, the bottom of the well way the hero was in the river grotto in Zora's River. Xef made the play to go up there. I don't think he found any items, but he did get that good hint that led him to his iron boots. And yes, the Sun Song check was hinted, so that was hinted at the top of the crater behind the bombable wall. And as soon as Zeph saw that, he went immediately to go get his strength, because that was his strength 1. And that opened up Forest Temple and Dongo's Cavern for him. And, the Sun Song, sorry, the Sun Song Grave. Sorry, not the Sun Song Grave. Not the Sun Song.
We got the hint for the item, which was the strength, but we didn't receive a hint for what the song was.
Yes, and Sun Song is on Ocarina of Time, so if there's something in that Sun Song check, then our runners are going to be very sad. Although they do have all the items available to them to do all dungeons at this point.
Maybe they'll do it just for fun.
I'm not going to hold my breath.
Zeph is finishing up his Forest Temple. He's got this last chest before he goes up to fight Phantom Ganon. Nothing in that chest, so unless Phantom Ganon is hiding anything exciting, then it's just the medallion from Forest Temple, and of course the item that we received from Zelda in the Light Arrows cutscene. But the temple itself doesn't seem to have anything too interesting inside it. I don't believe that we've received a hint for the grave that you need the Sun Song for.
Right, yeah, our location hints were shoot the sun and the composer grave chest. There's been a few others that have been floating around. I didn't actually bother to write them down individually.
We've seen the Bigaron and Skull Mask hints. The Skull Mask trading crest gives us the hover boots. Iron boots were in the bottom of the well.
Wow, nice snipe by Engineer. He's able to one-cycle that room there. Zeph also bringing down Phantom Ganon there. Had a little bit of trouble getting the first lightning bolt reflected, but able to clean it up there, and now he's free. We'll see now whether he will elect to choose to finish up Lost Woods or go straight to Water Temple and try and get that song.
Yeah, that would be interesting to hear. If he will stumble across his Ruto's letter, if he's just gonna warp on out of here.
Yep, looks like he's going straight to Water Temple. The reason that he's probably not choosing to go to GTG, even though we know Water Temple is foolish, is because Water Temple is the Forest Medallion. So if he finishes Water Temple and the Song of Time is on Prelude of Light, then it's really convenient to go to GTG afterwards, because having that Song of Time will open up a few more checks in GTG, potentially. And he has all the items that he needs to do water anyway, other than that Song of Time.
Yeah, so he's literally just looking for his boss key here, and then he's gonna go and fight Morpha. and then move on.
And Martin, yes, the irons were bomb locked. They were in the front bombable grotto.
Yeah, we're not quite in logic. We're missing a. What did we decide we needed? A slingshot or a boomerang to put us back into logic?
Yeah, and it's almost certainly a slingshot, I feel. Although if the boomerang ends up being somewhere like Gerudo Valley, then that's going to be really unfortunate, and whoever finds it there is going to be a total crapshoot.
Yeah, beyond telling you what we need, I don't think I could explain the logic train that we're currently in. Making my head spin a little.
Well, we have what's likely our logical bomb bag in Child Spirit.
Yeah.
So the only thing we're missing is like that slingshot to get across the bridge in Child Spirit. From there, you get your bomb bag, and then you do Dodongo's Cavern, which gives you everything, and everything quickly goes into logic.
Yeah. And the magic that Engineer has doesn't put us into logic because that was at the Summon Fairy, which we'd need the bomb bag to get.
Oh, 2 down. No boss key yet. Looks like that will be using a bomb shoe.
Yeah, and it looks like he picked up a 5-pack in the Forest Temple. I'm sure he had 8 going in.
Yes, Purple is correct. The bomb bag in Spirit does not necessarily have to be the logical one, but if there's a slingshot floating around somewhere, then it does put all the other checks into logic.
The Engineer about to take on Phantom Ganon. Play a little bit of tennis, see if he manages to get those returns a little easier than Xef did. Although Xef cleaned it up nicely after he had a little bit of difficulty initially.
So if I'm Engineer, I'm a little bit nervous because none of the items that I've found are in particularly difficult locations, so you probably get the feeling that this is a jet seed. Additionally, you know that you have everything that you need in order to do Shadow, and right now you're missing irons or a second scale to do water.
Yep.
So where do you go from here? It's going to be interesting to see what he decides to do. He does not know the bottom of the well is waiting here.
I wonder if he goes back child and makes a start on Jabu. He has that letter, it gives him a little bit of thinking time.
Yeah. And it opens up Ice Cavern potentially.
Yeah. This may be what I would do in my very little experience of actually playing randomizer.
Yeah, it's certainly not a bad play. I mean, the other obvious option is try to get those hover boots, which we know are on Skull Mask, and then head back to Shadow. But if you're committing for Stone Shadow, and there's nothing there, it's almost as bad as losing the race right there. So whether he's willing to make that kind of commitment based on feeling behind is something that he'll be showing us pretty soon.
Stone Shadow had a huge role to play in Engineer's first round match.
Looks like it's Spirit. This is actually a much better idea, actually, because he can clear most of Spirit with his strength. No Mirror Shield, can't finish it, but a lot of checks.
So yeah, Engineer, much better player than I am, evidently.
Oh, actually, he's going to GTG. Okay, that's also another good play. So certainly had some options to do progression in Spirit. Usually it's not a bad idea having cleared Child Spirit already. But GTG is way the hero, and he has the items to do most of that, so can't go wrong with that either.
He's gonna check this fairy first. It did look like he was thinking about going to Spirit there. Yeah, GTG being the way of the hero location may push him to go there first, because that may be his mirror shield, which means that he can then go to Spirit and just do it all in a 1 hour.
Yep, certainly makes a lot of sense. What is he doing? He's thinking about what to do, I think.
Yeah, I think he's trying to decide between GTG and Spirit. And it looks like he is going to go GTG there. GTG, sorry, Gerudo Training Grounds. It's a big mouthful to say Gerudo Training Grounds, so we shortened that to GTG for ease.
Looks like he was doing a victory dance for finding Greg. So sorry, I've leveled up my meme score now. I'm in on the joke.
Yeah, Greg is our validation rupee. I think it's a link to the past randomizer. That if the green rupee was in the same location, it meant that you were playing the same seed. That's how they used it to validate each other's runs. I think that's where it's from.
So Xef's still looking for that boss key, and starting to run out of checks here. He's going to do the dragon chest here, and I don't know if he checked the boss key. Just kidding, it's there.
I think he had already checked his boss key chest. But he's found it now, so he'll reload the dungeon, get that water level back up, and then go and fight Morpha for his Forest Medallion.
And that does confirm that Song of Time is not required to finish water, I believe, unless there's some weird key logic involved. So, oops, failing his quick jump up to the top level there. So it looks like he's gonna manually go up there. There's actually a setup for doing that.
Oh no! Raise it
Oh
from inside here, possibly. Maybe not. Just getting
he's
angry.
Very angry.
There you go, you got it that time.
There is actually a setup that you can do on the middle level there to position yourself so that when you hookshot up to the top level and then jump slash forward, you won't bonk against the wall, and you can stay on that level and not have to worry about going into these rooms. Wow, he's continuing to clear.
Has he forgotten that it's
foolish?
Choice? This is a foolish choice, Seth. Oh, he is wasting time here, giving engineer an opening.
Yeah, this is pure time loss, and all I can think is that he didn't mark it down.
That water baron hint, but that was outside the Temple of Time. Am I right?
Yeah, I believe so, yeah.
So that's definitely one that he's seen. It's not a situation, like Engineer hasn't seen the bottom of the well hint yet. He definitely came across that, and he's forgotten that it is the open grotto, sorry, toxic. Yes, that's right, it was in Hyrule Field, but he did see that, so he has just forgotten.
Water Temple without hovers is kind of an infamous challenge because honestly, most of the time you have hovers here, and hovers reduces the difficulty of a lot of the tricks here. But Xef doesn't have it, and so now we're going to see if he is going to make the jump directly to that, or if he's going to have to... Oh, good job there. One try.
Smooth jump.
Yeah, I came up with a setup for that because I miss that jump constantly. But Xef doesn't need no setup. He just went straight for it and got it immediately. Engineer's going to show us the first few checks of GTG too, so this is the first time we've had anybody there. We have a Way of the Hero here, so we're going to be finding something good.
Yep.
Almost certainly going to be a mirror shield or a boomerang. I can't think of anything else it could be.
No, I think, yeah, those are really our only two options.
Yeah, it's theoretically possible that it could be Slingshot. It cannot be magic, I think, because the magic was in Summit Goron, so I don't think that there's a way that that could be magic-locked magic. But we still don't know where that Slingshot is, so it's possible that the logic is more complicated than we're giving it credit for. We've just been assuming that there's a Slingshot available somewhere in Sphere Zero.
Because we picked up the bow was super early. That was in Mido's house. Hookshot again. That was Sphere Zero in the back of Lon Lon Ranch in the silo.
Yeah, so keep in mind, some people in chat are talking about what is and isn't in logic, but the reality is almost nothing this seed is in logic because we are missing what we think is a slingshot. But if there is a slingshot, then it brings everything back into logic. So it's kind of hard to speculate about what is or isn't in logic until we know where that slingshot is. But I kind of have a feeling that we may never find it.
I think you're right. I think they'll dance around and get everything else. They won't even need to find logical items. We have found both our Goron and our Zora tunic, so unfortunately it's not going to be a bait. We found both our wallets as well, so...
Look at that, Song of Time on Prelude of Light, so it's kind of what I thought it might be, and you gotta imagine that Xef is going to be heading right over to GTG after this to pick up his Way to Hero item too.
Yep, and as you said, that having that Song of Time could make it easier for him to check another couple of checks on top of what engineers already doing. Means he doesn't need quite as many keys to get through the maze.
Oh, come on, you know what Song of Time means. When you have Iron Boots, Gerudo Training Grounds, it's Way of the Hero. I think we all know where we want this Way of the Hero item to be.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We need to full clear our Way of the Hero locations.
If anybody knows where this Way of the Hero item should be, there's an emote for it that I would really love to see. Put it in the chat so that you can let everybody know.
I can see a couple, but I'm not sure everyone who's subscribed knows where it's going to be.
I think we need to get chat clogged,
yeah.
If you know what I mean.
Oh my goodness, that was a terrible...
Oh, you didn't know what you were getting into with me on the comms.
That was dreadful.
But if in fact it is in the toilet, which we've been alluding to, this is going to be really bad for Engineer because he does not have that Song of Time and he does not have those Iron Boots. So if you're rooting for Engineer to pull this one out, you should be rooting for him to find something soon.
Mm-hmm.
There's a bomb bag.
Now that will be Xef's first bomb bag when he picks that up.
Yeah, so I think that could potentially be the logical bomb bag because that is only locked behind Longshot. What is that item up on there? I can't see it.
That is a Deku Shield?
Yeah, Deku Shield. It looked like Strength, but I was like, we have those already.
We have all of those. So yeah, our long shot. So we found the hook shot in the back of Long Long Ranch. Where was the second hook shot? Was in Deku Tree.
So that could actually be Way of the Hero logical bomb bag, because that's only locked behind long shot. So if there's no slingshot out there, and that's the first bomb bag, then that also brings everything back into logic.
Yeah, because we have possibly one of the easiest long shots I've ever seen anybody get. We did not need a huge amount to find those.
So that chest does not need hammer. It's the one that's in the fire in the middle that needs the hammer. The one that you get from clearing the enemies doesn't have any logic associated with it, other than just having a hook shot for access to the room. But yeah, so... Oh, there's the boomerang. Just kidding.
Boomerang. And engineer looks like he's out of there. Oh, did he save away the boomerang?
So
Is
I
he gonna
think what
pick it
he's
up
going to
later?
do, he's going to check the other side of the maze and just make sure there's nothing there, so that he can make sure he can get to the end of this side. And then he's going to go back and re-pick up the boomerang, I'm sure.
And our trackers were on point there, noticing that he didn't save before he reset and removed the boomerang from his inventory. Yeah, because the engineer doesn't have the Song of Time, so he's not able to spawn the blocks.
Oh wow,
in the
another
room.
magic. That's so bad for engineer.
So all
So
these
that's second
advantages that he
magic.
had.
Wow,
then
and lens.
yeah, so he can't spawn the blocks in the middle to check that right hand side of the maze for free. So he's just gonna use his keys, just make sure there's nothing on this side, and then he'll go back and pick up his boomerang now.
I wonder if Spirit is key locked then, because we just have lens and we have magic available to us in GTG, so we know that Requiem is Way of the Hero. So there's got to be some weird reason why it's still required.
We found one key on child side.
These smart people in chat are going to tell us all about Spirit Temple key logic, which I appreciate because I have no idea what's going on.
I'm not even going to attempt to try and explain Spirit key logic.
So something the engineer will certainly note is that that boomerang for him is out of logic because it is locked behind Song of Time. Now we know that Song of Time is the reward for beating Water Temple, so things have been progressing in a pretty nice order here, where you have to do Water Temple and then Jabu. Got to imagine that that Mirror Shield is probably locked even later, so it's possible it could be in Jabu or something maybe behind Rudo's Letter or maybe Ice Cavern, something like that. But
If Siberian's around, should we maybe open a bet to see where our mirror shield is?
yeah, that's probably a good idea because that is
I
the
was
last item.
right on it.
Fantastic. So yeah, chat. Where do you think that our mirror shield is hiding? We have no more Way of the Hero hints left. We've gone everywhere the game has told us to go. So it's time to get your bets in about where you think that mirror shield is. Ruto's letter was in the business scrub in Lost Woods.
Yeah, I think he was the one outside of Goron City. The strength was on the business scrub. But yeah, this last item could be almost anywhere. We have all of Fire Temple in Logic. We have all of Shadow Temple in Logic. We have Ice Cavern in Logic. And one item to go. Isn't this exciting?
Jabu, you've not been to Jabu either.
And Adult Spirit has also not been checked.
And remember, the more specific your bet, we will go for the closest check will win. So be specific with where you think it is. And you've got about 7 minutes to get your bets in. The engineer going into Adult Side Spirit. This is the first time that we've been here.
So Xef's going to find his boomerang very quickly, and he's going to wonder, where's that letter?
Yes, he does not have his letter yet.
But he will get bailed out with some magic here too, so...
Yeah.
I wonder if the stone shadow gears start clicking in his brain.
I could see him perhaps making that play. I don't see why he would automatically assume to go back to the Lost Woods.
Yeah, I mean, something that can be a good idea is just clearing checks that you think it's likely that your opponent has done. Especially Xef has wasted almost no time this seed, and his route has been really good. So he might feel like he wants to be a little bit risk averse. But yeah, I mean, he's kind of orphaned those checks, and if he goes fishing around in a lot of dungeons, there's a lot of dungeons, and there's only one item left to find, so he could get stuck for a while here.
Yeah, we'll see where he goes after he finishes up here. I can see him full clear in the training grounds as well, because he is aware of the hero location.
Yeah, and he will be rewarded with the magic coming up in a few checks.
Yeah. So less than 5 minutes to get your bets in about where our mirror shield is, if you haven't done already. Get your bets in, chat.
I kind of imagine that Xef will be heading to Adult Spirit next, because he has to clear it anyway. He's got the strength too, so if you're gonna clear something, you might as well clear something that's also progression. But if he doesn't find the mirror shield there, then it's after that it really opens up for him.
Yeah.
Yeah, Purple makes a good point, saying that Xef needs to go Child to pick up hover boots before going Shadow, and if he goes to the Lost Woods to pick up hover boots, it is likely that he will check the grottos along the way, and that could work out really well for him, because he would then be Child with the letter and the boomerang and could just go straight to Jabu.
He's warping to Kakariko here, though.
The scale, or maybe he skipped Dompe. That looks like a scale.
If that pull would let him. Yeah, no, that is a good point. If he was thinking Shadow, then his quest for the hovers would take him back to the Lost Woods. I had forgotten that that's where those were hiding.
Does he have 20 skulls? He doesn't have them marked on his tracker. I know he has at least 18.
I think so. I think he's about 17 or 18.
So he would want scale because he can go to Jabu quickly through the Lake Helia.
It looks like he's just coming here to clear up some checks now that he has his bomb bag, and he's not going to have to waste his precious chews on them.
All right, Xef, where are you going? Has Xef touched Goron City?
I don't believe he has.
Ooh,
and
gold
Engineer's finding
scale.
gold scale. That is his entrance to Water Temple.
That is a really, really good find for him. He may be able to completely skip bottom of the well because of this.
And he doesn't need the iron boots, so the boss key was in the dragon chest.
No, it's actually really bad for him because Song of Time is locked behind Water Temple, and so you get Dragon Chest in the gold scale route after doing the river because you need to jump down from up there. So he probably is going to get stuck, actually. Can you do the Dragon Chest with gold scale? Okay. Maybe there's another setup. I don't know. I only know the way to go through the river chest.
I mean, you're gonna see something new then, hopefully.
I learn something new every time I commentate a race. These guys, they know all the tricks.
They do. Yeah, so we'll see if he knows how to get into that dragon scale room with the gold scale.
Well, I can't wait to learn this because I have not seen this trick before. All right, so Q-Rev, what's happening? Who are these people? So these guys are speed running their way through a randomized version of Ocarina of Time, and they are trying to get the 6 medallions as quickly as possible so that they can get into Ganon's castle and slay the beast. Quick detour here as it looks like Xef's about to find his letter.
It looks like he is.
But in order to complete all the 6 dungeons to get their 6 medallions, they're going to need to find items scattered all over Hyrule and use those to clear out the bosses in their dungeons as quickly as possible. And whoever slays the big pig at the end first is going to move on to the winner bracket round 3. Not sure who is opposite them in the bracket, but we have the top 32 runners from our qualification period, and everybody in the top 32 is really, really skilled. So if you're a fan of Ocarina of Time and you want to see a combination of great execution and quick thinking and maybe a little bit of luck sprinkled in, then you're in the right place.
Yeah, give it follow this channel. I believe we're on ZSR2. Follow Zelda speedruns. And we're thick into season 3 of this Ocarina of Time randomizer tournament. And we have weekly matches as well. So if the bracket tournament isn't enough for you, you can get your weekly fix of randomizer on Saturday evenings and Sunday afternoons. Those are UK times, of course, though. So I'm not sure what time they are for you. We're in your part of the world. Have we stopped the bet, Siberian, for the mirror shield? That's us hit 145 now.
So I believe the betting was closed. I saw it.
Cool. Perfect. Just checking.
So, interestingly enough, Xef decided to go through Zora's River instead of warping to Lake Helia and going through the shortcut there. So I'm not sure why he chose that route.
Especially after making the detour to pick up the scale.
Well, he needs the scale to take either shortcut, but going
True,
through Lake
true.
Helia would be a little faster.
As engineer is still looking for this boss key here in the water temple.
So we will see if Xef remembers that Zora's domain is foolish. We already saw him clear an extra check in Water Temple due to temporarily forgetting about his hints, but it looks like he's electing to just get a fish and go straight into Jabu, so
Yeah,
at least he
remembered
remembered that
this
one. Going to pick up some sticks just to make sure he has enough to finish clearing it by respawning them in the shop there.
Hand in that Bruce's letter that he just collected from the Lost Woods.
Oh no, he forgot the fish.
He has forgotten the fish. Xef, you need a fish. Xef, you need to feed him. He'll find out soon enough.
And
There we go. And Penny sinks. Yeah, that was our fourth Lon Ranch where the hero hint. We found the hook shot and Zelda's lullaby there, so.
It's funny because he got out his second bottle and drank the blue potion.
He did.
And then just completely forgot.
Got distracted by sticks and ran away.
Well, I have to say that Xef has really impressed me. He's playing at the same level as some of the top seeds in this tournament, and
Yeah,
you
and
see
this is
his seeding. Yeah,
this is his first tournament that he's played. So his round one match was the first one-on-one randomizer race that he'd ever played. He was our number 28 seed out of 32. 32 racer, sorry. And yeah, his writing choices are really, really good. I can't fault them yet.
well, I can fault them a little bit because he only has 3 Deku sticks right now.
He does
And,
have a sword.
Oh, he does have the sword. Okay, never
Yeah,
mind.
so he's,
I forgot about that.
And this is the setup with the bomb shoes here on engineer screen to do this room without the iron boots.
That is really cool.
So yeah, engineer is he's gonna be pleased. He's gonna find his boss key here, and he's gonna go up and fight Morpha.
Well, I'm going to be practicing that one in the practice ROM pretty soon so that I have that in my back pocket.
Yeah, no, that is nice. So yeah, if he doesn't see that hint for bottom of the well, then he can miss it entirely. The other thing, of course, though, is that if he does find that hint for the bottom of the well, and he's still looking for his mirror shield, he may be, dare I say it, tempted to explore the well and discover that it's just a trap.
Yeah, that would be really unfortunate. And it doesn't seem like it's over, really. Engineer is not that far behind as he misses the jump, so I commentator curse again. But
Yep.
He's going to be able to go straight to Jabu after this and be right on the heels of Xef.
Yeah.
And if they choose different dungeons to try and find that mirror shield, then we could end up having a really close race in the end.
Engineer has made a little bit of progress into the Spirit Temple.
Yeah, and you've got to imagine that Xef is going to be looking there if there's no mirror shield in Jabu first.
Yeah. Yeah, that would make a huge amount of sense. So he's going to have to go there anyway. You may as well go and do what you can do, see if the mirror shield turns up, He's already found strength in Dodongo's cavern.
No, not again.
Oh, not a second time! And a slingshot in Jabu. Yeah, no, we were looking for that earlier too, Xef. It's okay. I love when the runners animate Link in a way so that you can tell what they're feeling at that moment.
There's been a few spots in this run where Xef is... Or sorry, not Xef. Engineer has lost a significant amount of time to not using setups for certain tricks, and he's ended up failing them. And in a race where it's a pretty fast seed, you know, a minute or two here and there is potentially all the difference.
There we go, he got it that time. I love the hint bot in chat now. I think that's a great addition. Well done to whoever implemented that.
That's such a swag strat.
That was... Yeah, that was smooth. Very, very smooth.
Yeah. I love it. So if you haven't seen that before, the reason the engineer does that is so that he does not have to wait for Morpha to come out of the center area. If you use that strat, you can basically grab the brain thingy right away and save a few seconds. It's just harder.
So yeah, both our runners equal on medallions now. Xef, quite a way through Jabu here, but Engineer does have a head start in the Spirit Temple. So plenty of time for him to catch up. And yeah, we're gonna have to go looking for our mirror shield if it doesn't appear in front of us soon. Engineer grabbing his Song of Time.
And then probably going right to pick up Xef's trail in the belly of the big fish.
Yeah, I think so. So yeah, this will be Xef's 20th skull token there.
Have we seen a hint for 30 skulls yet? I know we have 40 and 50.
30 was dead. And 40 was dead. I had missed the 51, so if you've seen the 51, then between the two of us, we've covered off all three.
So in that case, looks like Xef is done with Skulltulas, so
yeah,
always a good feeling. Neither of them have checked 20 yet, but Xef at least has the ability to turn his in.
Yeah, he's Xef's just collected his 20th token. I'm not sure how many Engineer has. Engineer was behind on his skull count early on. Xef was collecting his 10 reward, and Engineer had only picked up 2. But again, that was maybe because he didn't go sort of his early child route. He didn't pick up those easy skulls in the Deku tree. So he's probably caught up by now.
Looks like Engineer is going to be verifying that Hyrule Castle Way of the Hero.
Yeah, we saw Xef do this earlier as well.
And he also picked up his skull mask from the Basque trader, so
He
I
did,
have a
so
feeling.
he's maybe thinking, yeah, he's thinking maybe his mirror shield's in shadow.
I mean, it's not a bad idea based on the items that we've seen so far. I imagine that he'll be picking that up on the way to the shortcut to Zora's
Yeah.
domain. But
And can we remember
we
where
gotta
Zef
hold our
is?
breath here. We gotta hold our breath here because he may choose to jump down and pick up that hint before he goes into Zora's domain. And if he does, he's gonna find out that bottom of the well is way the hero. Will he find out? And if
Looks
so,
like
what will he do?
Where is he going?
Where is he going? He was
Is he
going
gonna
to
get the hints
Minuet.
from the? Is he gonna get the hints from around the lake?
I have no idea what he's doing. I bet he's worried about that last way of the hero. Or maybe he's gonna be checking diving in the lab because of the gold scale.
Yeah, yeah. And then he can go into Zora's domain from here as well. He can take that quicker dive-in shortcut.
Yeah, if he does that, he's not gonna be able to pick up his hover boots along the way, but certainly getting the hover boots is not the top priority.
No.
Just bomb shoes.
Baronade down for Xef. And no concerns about stick shortages because he had a Kukuri sword. I'm not sure what that was under the water.
So yeah, it's decision time for Xef. He's got the whole map
There.
as his oyster.
So I imagine he's going to go back adult and he's going to head to Spirit after checking this fountain fairy. There's your 30 hint again. Just a recovery heart
Yeah.
30. And yeah, and then I think he's going to go to Spirit, make his start and clearing that, and then have a think about where to go from there.
So for all of you runners out there who are a little bit newer, when you have the whole world open like this and you're looking for something, if you have to pick a place to search for it, and you're able to clear some of your medallion dungeons, you pretty much want to prioritize your medallion dungeons every time, because Xef knows that no matter what, he's going to need the boss key in Spirit Temple in order to finish the game. So he's probably going to have to open most of the chests in Spirit to find it. So why not go there first? If you don't find the mirror shield there, then at least you probably are going to find your boss key, and you would have to do that anyway, so there's no way you're going to waste your time.
Yep.
And if you happen to find the mirror shield along the way, then even better, you saved yourself a ton of time. And it looks like he is going to be going to Child Spirit, I imagine.
Yeah.
Which makes sense because of that Requiem way of the hero.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely a clever decision. Yeah, so Engineer did his lab dive, checked chow fishing, didn't get very much, and then took that shortcut into Zora domain. So he is avoiding the bottom of the wellhead for the moment.
Well, I'm glad we got to introduce you to the randomizer, because it is super fun, and it is really interesting to watch for a lot of the same reasons that something like poker is interesting to watch. You've got execution and luck and quick thinking. Yep, all the things.
And even a little bit of luck that plays in every so often as well. So yeah, our runners today, Engineer, I think participated in season 2. Season 3 is Xef's first sort of tournament that he's started in. They started playing randomizer, I think, about 6 months apart. Xef representing France, Engineer representing Canada. Huge French community in the randomizer. Zelda Ocarina of Time randomizer. We have a French restream over on Marco and Casey Necro's channel as well.
Yeah, and definitely, if you're wanting to see some of the best technical execution of speedrunning tricks, keep an eye out for Marco's upcoming race. He's the #1 seed in this tournament, and his execution of tricks in the dungeons are pretty much second to none. And it's just remarkable how fast he can get through these things. So
Yeah.
he's one of the favorites in this tournament, and he'll be playing his second round match in the upcoming weeks. So look forward to it.
Yeah, but watching any of these 32 runners is just a joy to watch. That's the I think that's my favorite thing about watching the tournament, is that you have guaranteed high quality randomizer matches.
There's one big difference between this and a regular speed run. For a regular speed run, the routing is going to be the same every time, and so you get to put in a lot of practice to learn specific muscle memory and tricks. But in randomizer, the dungeons that you need to complete are different every time, and more importantly, the items that you have available to you in every dungeon and the songs that you have available to you are different every time as well. So you end up learning a lot of tricks that are very, very situational, but are very, very critical. And all of these runners know backups for backups, so that if they're in a dungeon like Water Temple and they don't have the hover boots, or if they're in Dodongo's Cavern and they don't have bombs, they're going to still be able to make it through using different strategies. And the ingenuity that you need to figure out the right tricks to use in the right situation and route it all together as quickly as possible is a really big mental challenge, in addition to just the execution of not jumping into the moat.
I mean, this race is a great example of that, because we've seen both our runners complete Water Temple, one with the gold scale, one with the iron boots, in a room which would normally require the iron boots to get into, but Engineer knew a setup and a backup strat to be able to do it with the bomb chew and the gold scale. So yeah, great example of how the exact same seed, the exact same game, can be played in completely different ways.
And if you don't know that trick, then you would have been in real trouble. And even some of the top runners, apparently not me in this situation, but some of them don't know some of these tricks, and it can come back to bite them. But if I was in Engineer's situation in this run, I would have been locked out of water without those iron boots, because I did not know that strat. So sometimes these tricks only show up in 200 runs, or 1 out of 200 runs, or something very, very rare. Sometimes you only need to use a trick once, but that one time can save you 15 minutes.
Yep. Unless, of course, you then go on to see the bottom of the well hint and get lured there anyway.
Yeah.
Which we'll have to wait and see if that happens, but he is avoiding it for the meantime.
All right, so Xef following his Requiem Way the Hero hint, and I don't remember which side the gold scale was on, but I don't believe
Right
Xef is going to find his.
I believe.
Okay, so looks like Xef might be picking up his gold scale here, but we know that the one check that the gold scale unlocks does not have anything, and uh-oh, it looks like Engineer found the bottom of the well hint in the fountain.
Oh, did he?
I totally missed that. Looks like chat is on their game today and they found it.
Yes, they are.
So now there's some drama because we know...
Or maybe the scale was on the left hand, perhaps.
Xef, what you doing?
He's thinking.
Alright, so really quickly to catch you up. So there are iron boots in bottom of the well, and there's a hint telling runners that bottom of the well is on the way of the hero, which means that there's an important item in that location that our runners need to complete the race, at least according to the logic of the seed. Now, Engineer found a gold scale and used a set of kind of advanced tricks to be able to clear Water Temple without those iron boots. So he did it basically out of logic. But he now has the information that there is a required item somewhere in the bottom of the well, and maybe Engineer thinks that the mirror shield is there, and he might prioritize going there to try and find it. But we know that it's actually the iron boots, and the iron boots are required for things the Engineer has already done. So, Engineer has to make a decision now. Do I try to follow that hint to the bottom of the well? Or maybe it's for those iron boots that I've already exhausted the use of, and maybe I can just skip that entirely. But it is a really, really hard decision. We know the right answer, but he doesn't.
I think he's gonna go to the bottom of the well.
Yeah, it's certainly the safer play, but what if he feels behind and he thinks, well, bottom of the well wasn't that deep into the logic of the seed. Maybe I better follow that Stone Shadow play or do something a little more risky to try and catch up. It's really good that I'm in the commentator's desk and not in the seat, because I would be racking my brains over this decision.
Speaking of Shadow, it looks like Xef is coming through the lost boots here. Does he have his skill mask to collect his hover boots here?
I don't think so.
I'm not sure if he does.
Getting a big Poe there, but that's not going to help him, because we had Market hinted as Baron, so that's not going to lead to anything.
Yeah, so all eyes will be on Engineer as he finishes up jabbing and leaves here to see where he goes next.
Xef is not prioritizing doing any of the dungeons remaining to him, and so it feels like he's a little bit nervous to commit to any really big plays, and instead is trying to take the safe way out and clearing some stuff that is often done early in the game, just to make sure.
Yeah, just clearing up these child checks whilst he's child, so the next time he goes adult, that's it. He just stays adult for the rest of his game.
Yeah, it's a nice safe play, and Xef has to feel pretty good about his routing so far. He hasn't really checked any areas that didn't give him anything, so we know that Engineer took a little bit of a less efficient route due to going early adult.
Yeah.
But he's got to be worried that maybe that mirror shield was just somewhere really, really early, and Engineer found it, and if I go into something like Stone Shadow, that I'm throwing the race. It's really scary when you get into these last item situations, and it can be literally anywhere, and that's the only thing holding yourself up.
I do wonder if that Stone Shadow from his last race is playing on his mind as well, and if that is going to influence the decision he's going to make here about whether he goes to the bottom of the well or Shadow.
So, throwbacks here to the very, very beginning of the run, because remember how I said that if your movement is excellent, you can get that hint at Lake Hylia on the way to the owl. Well, Engineer's movement was perfect, and he was able to get that hint. And that hint said that the rolling pot in the middle of Goron City was dead. But Xef had a small movement error, and he had to give up on getting that hint. Now, Xef is going to be clearing that check, and we know that there's nothing there. And that's a little bit of time wasted that, with a little bit better movement, he could have gotten away from.
And just a quick sneak at Engineer's skull count there. He's sitting on 18 gold tokens.
Oh, maybe he got that hint somewhere else, because I don't think he actually checked that. He kind of opened it up and then gave up on it.
Maybe he did. Did he do the trick where you throw the bomb as you're putting the bomb shoot up, and he kind of did the two at once, maybe?
I didn't even know there was a trick for that.
Yeah, if you time a
our chat is good. Maybe our chat can tell us.
Yes.
I don't know about that trick. So yes, chickens is nothing. It is just a blue rupee. Although engineer looks like he might be headed in that direction. Also
So
might be turning in skulls.
Luxu, skull mask counts as a lost woods check, not a market check. Because the prize is given to you from the Dekubabas.
Oh, you know what this means. Engineer, you know where he's going.
He's going to the well, and he doesn't need to.
It's certainly a sensible play, but we know that this is just 6 or 7 minutes down the drain.
Yeah.
I wonder if he will find those iron boots really quickly, because that front bombable chest is usually the first one you get. If he finds those iron boots right away, maybe he has the presence to dip out immediately.
Or if he decides to stay in full clear and look for something else, which we know is just not there.
Well, there's only one thing to find.
Yep.
So each hint in the game is duplicated somewhere else. So if you miss a hint somewhere, there's still a chance you can find it somewhere else in the world. Oh, there's the iron boots.
So,
what does he do? Oh, he's mad.
He's not happy he's got those. He doesn't need those anymore. But it does look like he's gonna go and check the rest of this.
All right, well.
So this is 5 minutes at least here.
Yeah, so now it's on Xef. Where does Xef go? He's adult. He's pretty much cleared out all the remaining child checks, and he's gonna have to commit to a dungeon somewhere.
Though. He did not pick up his hover boots. So he's gone back adult and he hasn't handed in that skull mask.
Oh, he's gonna check outside Ganon's castle. He has his golds. Yeah, I think this is a really good play to make. All 3 of those strengths were in logic, and
they were hugely accessible. Yeah.
Yeah, so this is oftentimes. Well, this is really exciting. We had a bit of divergence early on, and Xef built up a lead, but now we are in the dreaded find the one item that could be anywhere mode, and it's anybody's game. Whoever is able to pick that up is definitely going to be walking out of here the winner, and it's not outside Ganon's castle.
Nope. Yeah, we're just hunting for that mirror shield. Unfortunately, engineer is not going to find out where he is, but
looks like Xef is going to be heading to Helia to probably clean up the rest of the adult Helia checks. Yeah. So adult fishing and on top of the lab. I don't remember whether Xef did diving in the lab yet, so I imagine he'll finish that if he hasn't done that already.
I don't think he has, because he hasn't got his gold scale. And I don't think he did it with the irons.
Did either of our runners go pick up Burning Cack yet?
No, I don't believe they have. That would be... well, it would be opponents of Bolero of Fire.
If it were Opona's, something that might be worth thinking about is doing horseback archery.
Yep.
Because you know that all of those checks logically are blocked behind the rest of the progression, and you have to imagine that Spirit is probably the last temple remaining to be completed, so it's not a bad place to check for it.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. So the Burning Cack song is the song that you get as you enter Kakariko Village once you have the Forest Fire and Water medallions, which both our runners now have, so it's a case of them going through the front gate of Kakariko Village as an adult to pick that song up.
Also, shout out to the Xef fan club in chat. Everybody decided to create names that start with Xef, so they're having trouble listening to our cast because they think we're talking to them.
Oh, sorry.
Not sorry.
There could be a world where the mirror shield is in the reject grave and it's an all dungeon siege.
Yes, that's a funny world.
Funny,
I don't think we're
probably
in
not
that
the word
world,
I would
but but I mean, it's
They-
not the craziest thing.
that world exists.
Yeah, stranger things definitely have happened. If you watched the finals from last year's tournament, the game 2 of the finals was probably one of the strangest seeds I've ever seen, where the logical bow, the first logical bow, was on Baronade in Stone Jabu. And that seed took 2 of the best runners we have over 4 hours to complete. It was unbelievable.
What would you say is an average race length time now with the settings as we have them for season 3?
It's almost exactly 3 hours, I'd
Yeah.
say. Anything below 3 hours, like 2:30 is probably your average jet seed time.
Yeah.
If things get bad, even all dungeon seeds, if they're relatively tame, are not much above 3 hours.
No.
And yes, I did see Machilla's match yesterday. That was glorious and so wonderful to not have played that seed.
I missed Machilla's match yesterday. I did catch his match that was restreamed for the qualifiers and really enjoyed watching. I think I tracked Machilla for that match, for the bracket match.
Alright, it's the 220 Kokiri sword check.
Oh, that was playing on his mind. If he's come back for that.
So I really want to see our runners be decisive. These guys are checking chests that are more like, I hope I don't lose because I skipped this item somewhere,
Yeah.
rather than kind of going for it.
I'm making a
And I
decision
feel like it's a little
here.
bit
I'm gonna
low
find-
percentage.
Mhm.
I really feel like they should. I mean, it's easy for me to say, right? But I feel like they ought to commit to a dungeon. So Ice Cavern, Fire, or
Yeah.
Shadow are all
I think you're
available.
right as well. It does feel like Spirit Temple is supposed to be our last dungeon, so that these sort of lower sphere checked aren't going to be the most likely place for the Mirror Shield to be.
Looks like Engineer is listening to me and is going to go pick up his hover boots. The question is, will he go to Shadow after this, or will he do some more cleanup? But I think this is the play. Like, Engineer's got to feel a little bit behind, and doing as far as Hail Marys go, with the items that we've been given in this seed and how deep they are, like, Stone Shadow is a very, very reasonable play, I think, and a good way to get back in it.
Yeah, I agree. I think Stone Shadow could be where our Mirror Shield is hiding.
He might end up going to Goron City to clean up the rest of those checks there, because there's 2 that you can do very quickly. But I imagine that he'll be going adult before too long.
That's just, yeah. Walking around Hyrule Fields and not finding anything. Slow way to travel by foot.
Yeah, and it looks like he's going to go into Burning Cack now and pick up that last song, so...
Has he collected
yeah.
his 20 skull prize as well? He can do that.
Yes, he's
Yeah.
definitely collected 20 skulls, so he'll be turning that in along the
Yeah.
way. Hammer was in Dodongo's Cavern, along with a whole bunch of other stuff. And it is Epona's.
So yeah, Epona's song, that does open a couple of checks for us at Gerudo's Fortress with the horseback archery. And just some nuts from the skull to the house.
So I don't think that Xef has done Adult Spirit yet. So that is definitely the obvious play to do before anything else. But I don't think he's going to find anything there. And the question still remains, after that, where to?
Yeah, so Engineer's already started his Adult Spirit. I can't remember how deep he went into it. He made some headway though. The nice thing about this, after picking up that Epona song, is that Xef's in a nice position to then just go back to Guru Fortress and get the horseback archery out of the way without having to make a special trip for it. But he didn't take the time to collect his hover boots when he was a child, which I still think was a mistake.
Yeah, and I have to quibble with Xef a little bit. He went to Burning Cack to pick up that song after he cleared all of Hyrule Field, and if he had done things in the reverse order, he would have had Epona to be able to go clear all the Hyrule Field stuff a little bit faster. It wasn't guaranteed to be Epona, but
it was a 50-50
might be something
chance.
in
We knew Sun Song was on Ocarina at the time, so it was either going to be Epona Song or Bolero Fire. And yeah, in a race situation like those tiny optimizations can make the huge amount of difference. So we'll see. We'll see where Engineer heads after just clearing up these last couple of trial checks in Goron City.
Icy Waters, I do not believe was hinted, but Kuiper Don't Care is exactly right in chat. We're pretty much down to Ice, Shadow, Fire, and there's a few random overworld checks, although honestly, the runners have cleaned most of them up by now.
Yeah, between the two of them, I think we've seen most of the overworld checks.
All right, Engineer, what's the play? Where are you headed now? Maybe he's headed to Zora's River to do Frogs 1.
Yeah, he's not been up there. He's not done the river yet, so...
So both of these runners are electing to play it safe, to be honest, not wanting to make any huge commitments. If they both play that way, then it's probably fine, but especially for Engineer, I feel like it's a little bit of a missed opportunity.
Yeah, I agree. I think a decisive decision to commit to an area would be the right thing. I mean, it comes down to what area is the correct one to go to. Xef's not making a bad decision here, doing what he can off the Spirit Temple. This is something he's going to need to do anyway.
Yeah, doing Adult Spirit is definitely the right decision. It's fast. You need a boss key anyway. You're going to have to do it, so it puts off the decision, but I believe that we know that it's not here, and so it's just going to prolong the decision to commit to one of these dungeons.
He could be thinking about Ice Cavern, seeing as he doesn't have everything he needs for the Shadow Temple. I think we're preoccupied with the Shadow Temple just because that Din's Fire turned up so early.
Yeah, and the hover boots were really early too.
Yeah.
Also, a little bit of lingo for you guys in the chat who are relatively new. So when we talk about last locationing, what that means is that at any given point in the seed, there are a number of items that are what's called in logic, which means you basically have all of the other items that you need to check a certain location. And so at any given time through your playthrough, there's going to be a bunch of locations that you have the items for, and then there's going to be some item that is next that item is going to unlock a bunch of checks in the next area or the next dungeon or something along those lines. And so last locationing is clearing all of the locations you have available to you and not finding the item you need until the very, very last place that is available to you, and then you find it. So last locationing is basically the worst thing that can possibly happen to you, and you end up wasting a whole ton of time and feel really bad. So for example, in this seed, if the mirror shield ends up being an ice cavern and our runners next go to clear Shadow Temple and then Fire Temple and then and then everything else, and then finally Ice Cavern last, then that would be last locationing the mirror shield.
It's like when you ask your mum where your mirror shield is and she says it'll be in the last place you look.
Speechless.
I still think yours was worse. I can't even remember what it was, but I was offended.
Well, yeah, you gotta watch out for me. I'm well known for the painful ones. So looks like Xef is gonna make a play for Ice Cavern here. So that's of the remaining dungeons, that's probably the smallest commitment. But he just bonked into the ladder there, and this is the float of shame.
Yep. Just wade that water until he turns around. And he's going to get his revenge. He's going to shoot him in the back.
Yeah, it only feels bad in your heart, but it also feels bad knowing that everybody saw that.
Yeah. And engineer back into the future. Ado again. He's going to check outside Ganon's castle. Engineer did choose to pick up his hover boots, so I think he may be tempted by Shadow. Again, that could just be my predilection because we saw that Din's Fire and Nocturne of Shadow so early. I just want somebody to check it.
So I don't have an exact count of how many checks are left, but we have 3 big areas and 1 item to find. We've got Ice Cavern, which is where Xef is going right now, and we have Fire Temple, and we have Shadow Temple, and they've all been completely untouched, and it's almost certain that the mirror shield is in one of those.
Yeah, we also have the sort of the icy Zora fountain, and then horseback archery. Apart from that, we've pretty much covered everything off. I believe Engineer did go down Gerudo Valley. I remember seeing him near a waterfall. We've certainly got horseback archery in the fortress. Top of the roof wasn't anything.
Yeah, and the other checks in Gerudo's fortress were all locked behind Epona Song, and Epona is on Burning Cat.
Yep.
So we have not seen any of those checks.
I think that was Neri's Love at the bottom of the fountain there.
Yes, and Engineer did check Gerudo Valley, so we know it's not there. Xef failing the jump slash to get onto that ice platform there. A lot easier when you have the hover boots.
Yeah. Yes, and the bottom of the fountain, like every inner city river in the world, just with the condom.
Just gonna let that one hang out there.
Chat started it.
I blame chat.
Toxic brought it up. I was just sharing with the group.
Yes, sharing condoms.
We don't recommend doing that.
Well, it looks like Engineer wrapping up his adult Healy checks. Pretty soon he's going to be forced into a play and he does have his hover boots, so he might end up going Shadow after all. And we're going to see some divergence here.
Yeah, which would be interesting because one of them's got to be right at some point, and it's just a case of who. So yeah, all the advantages and disadvantages one may have had over the other before, it comes down to this: whoever finds the mirror shield first.
This is where the metagames can start to come in, because when you started searching for one item for this long, and you have like 3 dungeons that are available, you start to think about, well, which dungeon would my opponent choose? And then when would he choose it? So if Xef goes through all of Ice Cavern and does not find the Mirror Shield, will Xef consider going to Fire, thinking that Engineer would probably go to Shadow Temple first, and if it ends up being in Shadow Temple, then he's just going to lose. So if he basically is in Shadow Temple after Engineer, then he's just going to have a faster second place, which is no good at all. Those are the kinds of mind games that can come into play when you've got a situation like this, where there's an item out there that can be in a bunch of different places.
Not sure what Engineer was doing in the grass there.
Farming bombs, I guess? I'm not sure.
Possibly. He does pick up his Burning Carrot song though, so he's now has a bonus song as well.
All right, now's the time, Engineer. Where are you going? Oh, he's going to Ice Cavern too, it looks like.
Yep.
So this is exactly the kind of situation that I just mentioned, where being second into Ice Cavern is really bad, because if it ends up being an Ice Cavern, then Xef is just going to win because he's there first. You really want to be doing a dungeon that your opponent is not doing. Now, obviously, neither of these runners have any way of knowing how far or in what place the other runner is, so you're kind of guessing, but in this situation, Engineer can't win by going to Ice Cavern. He's going to have to find a place that Xef hasn't looked yet and go there first.
There was a glimmer of divergence for a short while.
He could actually be going to Fire Temple too, through the Goron City shortcut. So we'll find out in about 10 seconds.
I mean, he's got bottles.
No, it's Ice Cavern.
Yeah, he's been preparing his bottles, so he's going to drink a pool.
So you have to imagine the Engineer thinks that that maybe Xef is the one who went to Shadow Temple, and Engineer is trying to go to Ice Cavern to dodge where Xef is going.
Yeah.
This will be interesting to ask these runners about their strategy in the situation in the post-game interview.
Yeah, definitely. Ice Cavern is a sensible choice in that it's, it's not too large of a time commitment. It's a lot of concentrated checks. It's just those early sphere items that seem to be pointing you elsewhere. Yeah, Engineer will have an easier time going through Ice Cavern with his hover boots. But even then, I think Xef is, he's got a sizable head start on Engineer now.
So yeah, we know that King Zor is nothing, so Xef is going to finish Ice Cavern here, and now he's going to have another decision.
Yep.
He's going to get the Blare of Fire, so both Shadow and Fire will be available to him, but he still does not have his hover boots. Will he go straight to Fire, or will he go back Child and pick up those hovers?
I think he will go straight to Fire. I don't think he'll want to waste time going back Child.
Well, this might end up working out great for Engineer, because it looks like nobody's going to find anything in Ice Cavern, and Engineer is set up to go straight to Shadow.
Yeah.
Will he make the play?
Now this is something as well, as Engineer has already cleared these crater checks.
Xef will get his other magic.
Yep, he's not visited this area yet, so he's going to take a little time doing this before possibly going into fire. He may change his mind still. Or not getting his magic, he's not going to get the one on the summit. It was the summit fairy that had the magic, wasn't it?
That is right. So,
Just gonna
opting
check.
just to head straight into fire. All right. Well, at this point, if this mirror shield is in Fire Temple, then Xef is probably safe. Engineer needs to finish up Ice Cavern as soon as possible, and then make the right play to go to Shadow if he wants a chance at winning this. So, Xef's been ahead the whole race, but still everything to play for. Just finding that last item.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see where Engineer heads once he clears up the Ice Cavern. And we'll see if this Fire Temple pays out. And if Chef picks up his Mirror Shield here.
That's 20 skulls for Engie, although you gotta feel like if it's on 20 skulls, the other guy probably got it already.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. 2 hours 40. If it was on 20 skulls, I think he'd be self-expected to have got done very imminently.
Oh, there's our second slingshot. Not very helpful.
He's a completionist. Sitting watching intently what each of these checks are and see if it's what we're looking for.
When you're in the runner's chair, it is really anxious because you know that every next check could be the one that sets you free from this slog.
I'm
And
anxious that I'm
every
not
time you
playing.
don't find it, yeah, every time you don't find it, it's just like, oh no,
Yeah.
how much farther do I keep going? You start second guessing yourself. Did I make the right choice? Did I miss it somewhere? It's really a challenge to keep your head on straight and continue executing cleanly so that you can go as fast as possible when you have all these doubts rolling around in your head.
Yeah, and it's this point of the match that you usually see some slip-ups in execution as well. You can see runners maybe Russian setups. Perhaps a little, as we saw Engineer at the top of the water temple trying to raise the water level. It took him 3 times to get that jump, and it's that pressure at this point of the race.
Yeah, I always find that about 2 hours 45 minutes is the point where the execution starts to get a little bit slippery.
Yeah, squeaky bum time, as I would say. That means you're on the edge of your seat. In case I needed a translation for anybody, sorry.
All right, well, Engineer is done with Ice Cavern, so
Yeah.
now is the time.
Let's see where he goes.
Will he go Shadow? What dis?
He's going to water.
It could be horseback archery.
It could
I can't. It could be Hyrule Fields cleanup, maybe. I really
Maybe
hate the
it's
Hyrule
something-
Field cleanup play, though.
Yeah, I mean, it's something Jeff's has done. An engineer will be doing it with a horse, at least, rather than on foot. But I agree. I want a commitment to a location.
I think
That's
Hyrule Field cleanup, at least the southern grottos, is okay if you have Epona, as long as it's on the way to horseback archery. As long as he starts Shadow in the next 3 or 4 minutes, he's still gonna get there ahead of Xef, and it's gonna be okay. But he doesn't know any of this.
no. I just think that, you know, Ice Cavern was a sensible decision because of the concentration of checks and the short amount of time that it would take you to complete it. And what we're seeing here is Jeff just going through the fire tempo and knocking out these chests in the fire tempo. And Engineer here taking the time to travel around Hyrule Field, possibly go up and do horseback archery in the Greater Fortress. It's just a lot of time with not a huge number of checks in between.
So if you're just joining us, we are not in Go mode. We are in Go Look Everywhere for the Mirror Shield mode.
Yes.
We have basically the entire map in logic, and our runners have pretty much checked all the obvious locations, and we're down to Deep Fire and Shadow, and maybe horseback archery, and that's about it.
Yeah. So we had the 5 medallions, and yeah, Ice, Fire, Shadow were untouched. We've knocked out Ice. There's nothing in Ice. Jeff is about midway through Fire Temple. He's exploring nothing so far. Yeah, Shadow Temple completely untouched. Horseback archery, it looks like Engineer's been possibly on his way there.
So Chad is helpfully pointing out that there is another mode that is available to us, and that is Oh No mode. And that's when the runners complete Shadow and Fire, and we still don't have it.
Yes. That is Oh No mode. Definitely. We do have, nobody's checked the chess minigame yet, and we did get our Lens of Truth in a way, the hero location.
We had Market Baron, so fortunately we're off the hook for that
one. That's my favorite check. Oh well.
Yep. No spamming the directions in chat this time. Sorry, guys.
So we did have a bet earlier for the Mirror Shield. Literally.
Oh, here we go. He's going to Shadow. All right. Somebody is probably going to find the Mirror Shield.
Yeah, if it's in Fire or Shadow, it comes down to this. But yeah, whose bet is still standing? It does seem strange to have gone to Lake Hylia to done those very few checks, not bother going up to the fortress. He should have just gone to Shadow straight off the bat, but...
So, if you're new and you're wondering why that might be, like, not all checks are created equal in value. If you can get some sense of the order in which the dungeons should be done, and you figure out that Spirit is the last one in line, odds are better that the items that you need are going to be deeper into the seed logic-wise. And we know that we got Epona's Song locked behind Water Temple, the Dongus Cavern, and Jabu. So those checks are among the last things available to us in the seed. So if it's going to be somewhere, it's pretty... It's not a bad idea to try and meta the idea that it's in horseback archery locked behind those 3 medallions. but only checking Hyrule Field and not getting the so-called high-value check. Well, I mean, you never know if it's wrong until it ends up being there, but it's certainly a missed opportunity. So Xef has got to feel really horrible. He's almost all the way through Fire Temple and not a thing.
How many checks has he got left here in Fire Temple?
He's just Deep Fire, I think. So 3 or 4.
Engineer did check his 20 skulls, I believe. Yeah, this is really nerve-wracking.
I think I'm feeling, well, I think if I'm either of these runners, I feel absolutely terrible. But from the chair that I'm sitting in now, I'd feel much better being engineer. There's a whole lot of chests left in Shadow, and Fire is almost empty. And it's one of those things where the seed seems to be hinting at Shadow Temple the entire time, with the early dins, with the early hovers, and you never want to do it because you're just so afraid of the bait. And
Shadow
getting baited into Stone Shadow is like game over, man. But maybe this is the seed where they were just trying to help you all along.
So chat telling me that Xef has 2 more checks left in Fire Temple.
That's right, because there's keys still. Yes, well, Vashj is a check as well, but I believe that there's still 1 small key floating out there. Oh, did they not find the boss key?
Oh, there's a small key. I don't recall seeing him having picked up the boss key. Oh, sorry, I shut my window.
Alright, so Xef's going all the way up to the top, into that hammer chest. Boy, it would be funny if it was there. Although I think it has to be boss key, right? And then the only one left would be on the boss itself.
Yes, it's got to be the boss key to get into Thorbagia, and then Thorbagia's got the item.
So you remember, like, 2 hours ago when I said, seems like a jet seed?
Mm.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, it's taken us on a ride. It's been a fun one, though.
I have a history of cursing seeds with the jet seed designation, and then 2 hours later.
We don't either. We don't either. Not yet.
Yeah, so if you want to understand the feelings of a runner that's in the hot seat and has the whole world to search in and not a clue, I don't know. And now Engineer is like almost halfway through Shadow and no sign of it either, so I mean, the longer this goes on, I mean, I don't want to say oops yet.
So I think, am I right in thinking that the play that Xef should make after completing the fire tempo is to go and do horseback archery? Because if it's there, then he's ahead of engineer.
That would be the excellent meta play.
Yes.
Will he do
can
it though?
But yeah, so we'll see. I mean, he still doesn't have his hover boots to get fully into Shadow, so you'd kind of hope he can do as much as he can before he then has to go back and forth getting his hover boots to go and get further into Shadow.
I think you just gotta hope, as Xef, that if it's in Shadow Temple, you've just lost. Check everything else.
Yeah.
And that's the way to maximize your chances of winning.
Yeah.
So, Asen writes that he might go get hovers since Shadow has more checks than horseback. And if Xef is trying to complete the seed as fast as possible, that makes sense. Like if this were a weekly race against maybe 40 people.
Yeah.
But the problem is this is an all or nothing race, and it doesn't matter how much you get second place by. You're just trying to finish first at all costs. So, you have to feel that if it's in Shadow, the engineer probably beat him to it, and you want to check anywhere else because if it ends up being in Shadow, sure you can go there right now, but you're just getting a slightly faster second place.
Yeah, you can't bank on the other racer following you. You need to try and use every advantage to get out ahead as you can. I think the fact that he hasn't got the hover boots means that going to do horseback archery first is the...
Alright, here we go. Is it on the dragon? No,
Nope.
It's not. Here we go.
Nope, it's the bombs.
Okay. Will he make the play to go shoot some arrows? Oh, we are really close to oh no mode.
We are very close to oh no mode. So nothing in ice, nothing in fire, nothing in half of shadow.
Look at that really nice one cycle by engineer to get through the fan room. This is amazing. Super, super fast. So, oh no mode in this seed is there's one check in this seed that is locked behind all dungeons. Now, when you need to complete 6 medallions in order to unlock Ganon's castle, but there's 3 more dungeons out there, or 3 more stones out there, and in vanilla, that gives you the Song of Time, in Randomizer, that gives you a random song, and in this particular seed, that random song is the Sun Song. The Sun Song is used for 1 check in the graveyard, the Sun Song Redead Grave, and if the Mirror Shield just happens to be in that exact check, then our runners are going to have to go complete Fire and Shadow in order to find it, and they want to be really avoiding that if they can at all costs. So that will be the last thing that they check. But if in fact that is the world that we are living in, then it's oh no mode, because the runners will be saying, oh no.
Oh no. Yeah, Xef has gone back, child, to finish up this Skullmask quest to get his hover boots so that he can follow Engineer into Shadow.
So Xef could win if it is in fact oh no mode, because it looks like he's going to pick up his hovers, and if it is truly an oops all dungeon seed, first of all, that would be legendary. Second of all, Xef is ahead in his progression as far as total number of things checked. So Xef's going to finish all the dungeons first, as far as having them all done, although Engineer is going to finish Shadow first.
It can still, of course, be on Shadow.
It could be. There's still four 4 things left, and I believe that there was boss key found, and we have 1 key in inventory, so all of the 4 remaining things in Shadow are items.
I'm not sure who ruled the seed today.
I think it's a cyber seed.
Cyber's our restreamer.
Arrows down to 3. Down to 2.
Oh my goodness, if it's on Bongo Bongo, it's just insane.
Oh, I'm so nervous.
I almost can't watch. I'm sat here with my fingers over my eyes, just
What if they both clear their dungeons and then they go to the other one before doing horseback archery? Alright, last one coming up here before Bongo. This invisible
you can't see it. You can't.
floor master is giving him a lot of trouble.
He's taking out his anger there. So yeah, Xef has finally got his hover boots,
No!
and there it is.
Unbelievable!
Yes. Oh my goodness!
Stone Shadow, it never fails.
Ah!
I feel so bad for Xef because he played so well and he made
Yeah.
pretty good decisions, but at the end of the day, it was in the one he didn't pick.
Yep. No, they both played really, really well. Xef looked to have the edge over Engineer for the longest of time until we came down to that last item.
Unbelievable. Of course, they would put it at the very, very end. Like,
Yeah,
you knew
you've
it
got
had to be like that.
You've got to go all the way through Shadow. You don't get to just peek your head through the door. You're going all the way through. My goodness, what a race.
Wow. I mean, they put Din's fire in Mido's house. They were trying to tell us.
We have been saying for the longest of time that we thought Shadow was a good place to go looking for that shield.
I mean, yeah, obviously, if I was running this race, I would have finished it an hour ago.
Obviously.
Obviously. So,
But yeah,
it looks
there
like
was a lot of things that were pointing towards Shadow. Although I liked what you were saying about not getting a bonus song until having already cleared Water Dodongos and Jabu, pointing towards horseback archery.
Yeah,
obviously-
it's the high value checks. Like,
yeah.
you got to figure at that point, like, what's the deepest groups of checks in the seed? So horseback archery and then the dungeons.
Yeah.
And both of the runners chose to do a lot of cleanup rather than committing to kind of the deep and logic clusters, which it's hard to fault them too much. Like, you're in a race, you don't want to be the person who skipped the item on Ocarina minigame, and that was Beer Shield. But at the same time, yeah, that's just how it goes.
Yeah, and talking about sort of high value checks and where they are sort of in the logic chain, Rucho's letter we found in a grotto in Lost Woods, so the ice cavern wasn't too difficult to get to, and the hammer I believe is in Dodongo's cavern, so that
That's right.
it took us a roundabout way to logically get in there, but again, not too far down that logic path.
Yeah, certainly Shadow was deeper in the logic than Fire was because of the magic. The magic was locked behind either hammer or bombs, or in GTG behind a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah. I'm gonna disappear for 2 minutes now that we've found the nursery. I should be right back. If you can.
Sure. So we'll have engineer just kind of cleaning up the rest of this. He should have this pretty well in hand, unless he dies to Twin Rova about 4 times, and then go get some Burger King. So I think this one's pretty safely in the bag, but for him, he's still got to sweat it out, because for all he knows, Xef went to Shadow as well and is hot on his tail. Engineer going to be getting these mirrors into place, and then off to Twin Rova. Or not. Apparently this puzzle is hard. So basically, if you wanted to sum up the source of problems for our runners in this seed, I'd have to go with mirrors.
I only caught the last part of that.
Engineer misplaced one of his mirrors in the puzzle. It's a tough puzzle. Mirror Shield was in the floor master room at the very, very end of Stone Shadow.
The very, very, very bitter end of the Shadow.
This seed wasn't cursed, you just had to look in the right place.
Yeah, we already finished it an hour ago. We've been saying Shadow's for yonks.
Exactly, I mean, we should have just ended this tournament.
That would not have gone well for me.
I couldn't make the cut, so certainly have nothing to complain about. These guys are both excellent runners, and these guys have been treated to a really, really great race. They have all played really, really solid, and their execution has been on point the whole time. Really no major mistakes, and when the pressure's on, it's really, really easy to get sloppy or get tilted and start losing a lot of time.
Yeah, no, it's been a great race. It was close for a long while of it as well.
Yeah, and Xef was ahead for almost all the seed, because back in the first hour, Xef did the standard Child 3 song route, and Lon Lon was double way of the hero, and Xef was able to get Zelda's Lullaby and the hookshot really, really early, and it led to a lot of Adult 1 progression that Engineer was locked out of, because Engineer went Adult after Hyrule Castle and missed that hookshot in ZL and got himself a little bit stuck. So Engineer was playing catch-up, but at the end of the day, it came down to the old Stone Fire versus Stone Shadow. Pick one randomly and hope the Mirror Shield is there, and Engineer won the coin flip, and that's what it boils down to.
It turned out Shadow was the lesser evil in this seed. So, Engineer finishing Twin Rova. He's gonna get his final medallion and make his way for Ganon's castle. Yeah, it is a shame that it came down to essentially a coin flip between Fire and Shadow.
Rando's gonna rando.
Yep. It's the name of the game.
So, assuming Engineer goes on to win this match, he will be going up against the winner of What the Hell's Happened in Glitchymon. So that is going to be a really, really tough match. And you have to imagine that Engineer will be the underdog going into that one. Try to figure out where Xef would end up. I'll get that for you shortly. Oh no. So I believe that Xef would face the winner of ATZ and Namaha.
Oh wow, so
Wow.
both of them going on to really tough matches after this as well.
Yeah, I mean, congratulations. You lost a coin flip and now you have to go up against potentially the number 2 seed in the loser bracket round 2. So and don't count Namaha out because he is an excellent runner in his own right, and he was the runner-up of the SGL Live tournament a few months ago. So both of them are going to be a really, really tough match, and this goes to show how deep this tournament is. Even those in the loser bracket round 1, they are runners that are capable of going all the way to the very end.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know who this is your first time watching a tournament race, it's a 2 in your right system. So you play in the winner brackets. Once you've lost a winners brackets match, you go into the losers brackets, and then you can work your way through the losers brackets, and then face the winner bracket winner in the final, which is what happened in season 1.
Yeah, and don't feel too bad for Xef, because Xef already knocked down the number 5 seed Juke.
Yep.
And so it's definitely possible for him to keep advancing deep into this tournament. He's been showing up with excellent play in both of his first 2 matches, so you know, anything is possible, but there's no freebies in this. It's not like some of the earlier seasons where the skill gap between the top people and the bottom people was a little bit wider. All the people in the top 32 are capable of taking matches off of any of the other runners.
Yeah, this is one of the benefits that now the randomizer has been sort of going for, what, 2 years at least now? People have been really sort of practicing and honing their craft, and we have some top quality entertainment ahead of us with these matches. Yeah,
so, Engineer's almost done here. Sorry to cut you off there, but we got a Ganondorf fight coming up, so we'll see if Engineer can take care of this with 1 cycle. I don't know if he picked up the Bigoron sword somewhere along the way or not, but should be well in reach for someone of his caliber.
And Xef should just have enough time to hopefully pick up his mirror shield. He has got his big Goron sword. And he's going to go with the bottle strap. Making easy work of down in there. And on to face the pig.
It is a little bit ironic in a sense, because remember in Xef's first round match, he got an advantage because Juke didn't want to pick up an item that was for a stone dungeon that he wanted to skip. And now in this match, he had all the requirements for the hover boots for a very long time, but opted to avoid picking up that item, which was a requirement for a dungeon that he wanted to skip. And now it's come full circle, and it's going to end up being the thing that costs him this race. So it's just kind of funny how it works out like that.
Even better than that, though, this is the second race for Engineer in Stone Shadow. Late Stone Shadow has held a required item.
And there, he finally picks up his mirror shield, but unfortunately, Engineer is already fighting the pig.
Yep. Yeah, Xef has played really, really well in this tournament so far.
While Neod's off to finish Spirit Temple, we've got Engineer about to wrap up the game. So let's get some hypes in the chat and some GGs to congratulate Engineer on an excellent performance, and he'll be moving on to round 3 of this winner bracket. Down goes Ganon.
One more swipe here. For the win, Engineer.
And there it is.
GG. Fantastic race.
Congratulations to Engineer, and it looks like we have our runners joining us for an interview. So welcome in, guys.
Welcome, GG.
GG's. Sorry.
What did you guys think of this one?
GG.
I don't know.
There we go.
Didn't understand the whole race, and I panicked easily at the beginning, and didn't achieve to catch up. That was awful in my side.
I think you both played so well, and Xef, your decision to go child and stay child early on really gave you an advantage earlier on in the race, and you were leading the charge for most of it, and then it literally came down to where that mirror shield was, and you were both looking for it. So it came down to, a coin flipping down to the wire. It was a great race, and well done both of you.
Yeah, GG. I definitely was planning on doing the 3 child route, but then the only thing that pushed me early adult was the teardrops, because I wanted to play, and I had the bow, so I wanted to play it just safe and turn that in before I did anything setting.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, we had speculated about that.
Yeah, I was going to do 3 child route until I got that, so I kind of switched it up on the fly, but yeah, turns out it wasn't the best play. But other than that, it was like a jetty the first hour. Like, I think 1 hour in, we had like gold gauntlets, one shot, like most items.
Yeah, there was a lot really early on.
Until the mirror shield.
Yes.
Still the mirror shield.
So how did it feel the last about hour of the race? Because we were trying to figure out where you guys might go. You have both down to 1 item, and actually, Xef, you were ahead, I'd say, about 10 minutes or so. But we had all the overworld checks, and we had Adult Spirit, we had Ice Cavern, Fire, and Shadow. All of them were in logic. And how did you approach deciding where to look in that situation?
The fact is, I didn't quite understand the logic of the seed, because I did several checks out of logic, and I couldn't make the reflection on where can the items be, and that was only a gamble. So the play of skipping the Lost Woods in Child, like the previous match, it was intentional, but the Rutos letter was there, and when I found the Rutos letter, I thought, okay, yeah, I'm way behind, and I don't know what to do at that point.
So how do you keep your mentality strong? Because in reality, because Engineer went early adult before going Lon, he actually put himself pretty far behind. And when you got to Adult 1, you were able to have about almost 2 or 3 dungeons that were pretty much able to be cleared to get a pretty substantial lead. And when you got Rutos, you were ahead. So what's the challenge of just maintaining a cool head, even when you feel you're behind in those situations?
Oh, that's a question for me?
Sure, it's for both of you, because I'm sure you both felt like you were behind in various spots of the race.
Yeah, and it's really funny because probably until the hunt for Neo Shield, I actually felt I was really ahead because I felt like I was just rushing progression and I was finding everything. And I felt like I was just really like doing really well in this seed. So it's really funny to hear that I was 10 minutes behind the whole time. But then once the hunt for the Neo Shield began, then yeah, I felt after I think I started feeling behind once I went to Ice Cavern and there was nothing. And then
So
from
you
that,
actually-
there was this-
You actually both went Ice Cavern first,
Yeah.
and then Engineer, you had taken the time to pick up your hovers, and Xef had actually put it off. He had done most of the trading quests but never got them. So when he got through Ice Cavern and had Bolero, the natural choice was to go fire.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
When I got the hint on Skull Mask, at that point I didn't have the medallions, I think. So I was kinda scared about that. And when I saw that the shadow was a stone, the only situation that over could be useful for me was the old dungeons scenario. So that's why I played fire first and get the hovers after it.
Did meta come into your decision making as well when you had all those dungeons left and everything was a really big commitment? Did you ever think like, if it's shadow, that I've just lost, or if it's fire, then I've just lost, and that influenced your decision making?
If it was fire, I think I won't say I would have lost, but shadow was my last play in the order I wanted. So if it was shadow for me, it was completely lost.
Yeah, I was kind of putting off Shadow as well because I still had a few overworld checks left. And if I committed to Shadow and it was just sitting in an overworld check, then I figured I just lost in that moment. So I kind of played it safe and did a full clear of everything. And then by the end of it, the only checks I had left were Horseback Archery, I had Chickens, Bongo Bongo, and then Fire Temple. And then all other overworld checks were done. So there was not much left at that point.
Yeah, and actually both of you opted to pretty much clear the overworld of checks before you committed to any of the big dungeons. Do you think that if you were playing in like a weekly or something, would you have been more aggressive in committing to one of the big dungeons, or do you think you would have done something like this every time?
I think I would rush the dungeons in weeklies.
I would have done Shadow much earlier if it was a weekly. I think.
At some point in the 1v1, first the pressure is really hard to avoid, and it's really hard to make decisions when you are under pressure all during almost 3 hours. So the more the checks we got, the more the pressure is heavy, and at one point one moment I wrote on the stream I don't know, because I was completely lost at that point.
Yeah, we
certainly
got a
didn't
big
look
laugh
lost.
out of that.
Yeah, you didn't look lost until you literally spelled it out for us. We thought you knew exactly what you were doing. So
Yeah, the first thing that makes me uncomfortable with the seed was my bottom of the well, which was disgusting in terms of execution, because I didn't know how I can use my shoes in the optimal way. So I did a completely nonsense plays at that point, and that was the starting point, I think, in the how can I say, in French it's called the déclin, le bordel, quoi.
Yeah,
sort of
the
doubting
decline. Yeah.
yourself.
Yeah.
It was interesting you brought up the bottom of the well, Jeff, because I was going to ask Engineer how you felt when you went to the bottom of the well, having seen the way the hero hin and then just finding the iron boots there.
Yeah. I kind of suspected it was either 50-50 with Irons and Neo Shield, and either or it could have been swapped. It would have, and this seed would have been the exact same, and it would have been much quicker. But at first, I saw the way the hero, I'm like, oh, that's GG. and then that's it. But then I realized, wait a second, it could just be islands. So then I almost ended up skipping some checks in Jabu, just hoping it was Milo. But I figured I'd play it safe just in case. It was also really cool. I was able to count keys and realize that the last 2 keys were dead hand and the basement. So I was able to skip dead hand just by nature of where the keys were.
Oh, that's really fortunate. I never get that lucky when I do my bottoms of the wells.
Yeah, because I only had 1 key in there, so I was able to skip dead hand just by key counting.
Yeah, I think you both managed to avoid
Doesn't happen
the
often.
bottom of the well check. So the very bottom of the well, you both avoided that. So, but what a great race! It really, really was. It wasn't a kind seed in the end per se, but we really, really, really enjoyed watching it.
Yeah, and I think both of you won some new fans in chat because they were very impressed by your execution and cool-headedness
Absolutely.
throughout the challenges that the seed threw at you. Do you guys know who you're going to be up against in your next matches, potentially?
Yes.
Yes.
How does that feel?
When the only thing I can say, if the scenario is right, it was a great tournament.
Well,
Because
I've
I-
had the chance
I-
to cast both of your matches, Xef, so far. So I don't think you're going to be a huge underdog against either of the runners that will be coming up against you next.
Not at all. You've already fallen. You fell giants already in this tournament. So I'll be looking forward to seeing your future matches, plural.
Yeah, but
And
Nama
yeah, I think
or
either what the
ATG
hell's
did-
happened or...
Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that either Nama or Anatomies are great players, so I don't think I could have the same level as them. So for me, I'm not so optimistic on the next match, but I'll do my best. I think, I hope.
Well, I'm sure I speak for all of us when we say we're looking forward to seeing your performance, and I can't wait to be able to watch it.
Yeah, and engineer
anything else that you
your
have?
next match.
Pretty
That'll
exciting
be-
race, yeah. What happened or Glitchimon would be a really exciting race.
Yeah, really well.
I'd be really excited to race either of them.
All right, well, that's all the questions I had. Hannah, did you have anything else left?
No, I think you covered everything. I was.
So if you're still in the chat hanging out with us, make sure to give both of these runners a follow. They gave us a great performance today, and you should go check out their streams. The links to their Twitch channels are in the chat right now. And also, if you'd like to follow myself or Hanarchist, our links as well, and are in the chat as well. Siberian for the restream, so thanks to him, and our trackers were Perpetual and Curry Chicken, so all their info is dumped in the chat, so give everybody involved a follow, and thanks again for our runners today for putting on quite a show.
Yes, thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thank you for volunteering and commentating, and tracking, and everything
Thank you
else.
for commentating, Hannah Christon and Elogatua. Also, of course, our trackers, where we had some issues that were probably not on the tracker side. And the weekend is still packed with Ocarina of Time Randomizer. Tomorrow we have the next Season 3 tournament match, as well as on Sunday. And of course we have our weeklies on the weekend. And for today we are heading over to Zelda Speedruns, where we have a Twilight Princess any percent tournament seeding race going on. Everyone baffled. So, stay tuned. Tune in again to Zelda Speedruns when the next races happen, and enjoy the rest of the Twilight Princess any percent run. See you soon.